What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Detroit Lions mock draft. Well, I guess the first mock draft. Welcome back to another live stream, I should say. Today, I wanted to do, as the draft is a couple of days away, the draft will be kicking off on Thursday. I will be there. I am super excited to be going. And as people get in here, we're going to talk just a little bit about the draft, about the Lions, and then we will get into a full 32 team mock draft. I'm very excited to be back. I am very excited to be live streaming again. Unfortunately, we did miss last week. Unfortunately, we weren't able to be here last week because I had some other personal things that had to get done. However, as I said, very excited to be back. Very excited to be live streaming it again. And today I wanted to do a live stream. I want to do a 32 team live stream, go over. I don't know if we're going to do just the first round. I don't know if we're going to do, the second, the third round. I guess we'll go as far as people want to go. I guess we will go as far as, people want to see, and as long as people are engaging, we're going to keep going throughout the draft. So I'm super excited. Ken is the first one in here today. He says, "What up, Doe? How are you doing today, man? Welcome in to the stream." Looney Tune with the new logo says, "What's good, fam? How you doing, Looney Tune? It has been a minute. I'm very excited to get into it today." The draft, I can't believe the draft is only a couple days away. I mean, it does not feel like it has been a long enough off season. I mean, the draft is 4 days away. The Lions are going to be picking at 7. The Lions are going to be on the clock in just a couple of days, and I could not be more excited to get into it. Now, I did want to have a couple of special guests on today. However, they could not make it, unfortunately enough. So unfortunately, you're just stuck with me. But with that being the case, we have 8 people in here right away. What's going on to each and every one of you? Glad to have all of you here. So we can start with the mock draft. The first couple picks are going to be really, really simple. As I said, I don't know how long we're going to go, but, we're going to go until people, as long as people are engaging, we're going to keep going. Looney Tunes says, "Lol, I'm always going to have a Looney Tunes character as my profile picture." Hey, I mean, I like it. I like it a lot. JGP says, "What up, Doe? How you doing? What's going on? Hope everybody's having a fantastic day, and I hope everybody is excited for the NFL draft because I know I am." As I said, we're going to get into a mock draft. We're going to do 32 teams. I'm going to be picking with every single team. I'm not going to be doing trades today. I think that's just, too much gray area for like, oh, that's unrealistic. Oh, that's not going to happen. And obviously, there are going to be trades in the NFL draft. There are going to be trades in the first round. But I think that just gets too complicated. That puts up way too much room for, for things like that. So, it's, I'm not going to be doing trades today, but I'm sure there will be. And if I think a trade is going to happen, if I think a team is going to trade down, I am going to talk about that as well. But I will not be making a trade. Motor City Sports says W. Latune says, "I'm excited for sure. I think everybody is. 3 days and wake up. Can't wait." I can't wait either. So with the first pick, not too many speculations here. It's going to be Trevor Lawrence, the quarterback out of Clemson. I mean, simply the best player available. I don't think that there's much interpretation here. I think Trevor Lawrence goes number 1. I think that's just the way it's going to be. They've pretty much already handed him the playbook. So at this point, Trevor Lawrence is going to go number 1 overall. Very little doubt in my mind. Otherwise, I have Zach Wilson going at number 2. Zach Wilson, to me, is the second best quarterback in the class. He's my quarterback number 2. He's a guy that I've been very, very high on for quite a while. He's been a guy that I've loved watching. I actually watched quite a bit of him for a guy that is really realistically not going to be there for the Lions. Everything I watch on Zach Wilson, he's just exciting. I mean, I think has the potential to be that next Aaron Rodgers, be that next Patrick Mahomes. Like, he is electric. He can run. He can pass. He is smart. He is really good at everything. And I think with the new coaching staff in New York, especially with the Sam Darnold trade that just occurred, I really think that the Jets are going to go quarterback. And I think there's a chance that it could be Justin Fields. I've seen that rumor floated around a little bit. But if I'm the New York Jets, I'm taking Zach Wilson and not looking back. Motor City Sports says the Jaguars are going to overthink it. That would be really, really funny. Like, could you imagine if the Jaguars are sitting there and Urban Meyer decides to go with like Penny Sewell, which, wouldn't be a bad pick, but everybody's hyping up Trevor Lawrence, and then the Jets end up getting him anyway because the Jags overthink it, or the Jags try to be like way too smart and they take Trey Lance for some, like, that would be really funny. That would be hilarious. Now, with the third overall pick, I actually think that the 49ers are going to go with Mac Jones. And this isn't necessarily what I would do if I was the general manager, if I was in charge of these teams, but this is kind of my projection of how I think the draft is going to play out. And I think that just with all the rumors, with the 49ers attending the Bama Pro Day, with, the 49ers head coach and, their guys being around Mac Jones so much, and, with, of course, with all the rumors being around and Mac Jones being probably the best scheme fit for that system, I think the 49ers go Mac Jones. In my opinion, he's not the third best quarterback on the board, but I think this is how it's going to play out, and which is actually a really good thing for the Detroit Lions. So I actually think Mac Jones does go with the third overall selection. Would I make this pick? I wouldn't, but I do think that this is going to happen in real life. Looney Tune says, imagine if they did pass on Lawrence. Oh, the NFL world would explode. Are you going to stream during draft night? I'm actually going to be at the draft. I'm going to be at the draft. I'm going to be in Cleveland. So I don't think I'm going to be drafting, but I'll be uploading a ton of videos. I will be recording pretty much everything that I get to do. So there should be a lot of videos, a lot of quick videos to come out, like when the Lions draft people, but I'm going to be enjoying the event. I'm going to be having a fun time. So probably no live stream for me, but I do know the DSA is, I believe they're likely to do a live stream for the first. Now, I think they're going to do a draft night live stream for all 3 rounds, so you can definitely go check that out. First night is on Luke's channel. Yep. Yeah, as I said, I believe the DSA is doing the live stream for all 3 days of the draft, so you can definitely go check them out. I know they're going to have some fantastic comments. The Mac Jones smoke screen is working. I mean, I see it. I think it works for the Niners. I think it makes sense because Kyle Shanahan, I don't want to say he doesn't want a mobile quarterback, but from what I've seen, you know what I mean? Like from all the quarterbacks he's worked with in the past, like I don't think he's had like a super mobile guy. I know he's in San Francisco now. He's had Jimmy Garoppolo's been there. He had Nick Mullins, who wasn't a scrambler, kind of a pocket guy that was better at passing. He had Matt Ryan, who wasn't really a scrambler, more of just a pocket passer kind of a guy. Like, I just don't think the athletic dual threat quarterback fits the mold for what Kyle Shanahan is looking to do. But so I think that's why Mac Jones goes at number 3, but I would not be surprised if it was another quarterback. I think San Francisco probably takes Fields. Again, that's another possibility, but just with the way that they've been talking about him, I think Mac Jones does actually go with the 3rd overall selection. Now, as I said, I'm not going to be making trades today. However, I do think if given the opportunity, the Atlanta Falcons are going to trade down. I think that they have enough holes where they are going to look to acquire more capital. I don't think they're really in the field for a quarterback right now. I really don't think that. I think with the state of their roster, with Matt Ryan still being on a huge contract, with Julio Jones, with Calvin Ridley, his contract is going to be up very soon. I think they're going to be looking to take a weapon if they do stay at 4, and if they don't, I think they're going to be looking to trade down. So with that being the case, I actually think Kyle Pitts goes here. I think Kyle Pitts is the most dangerous player in the I think he's the most dangerous weapon in the class. I think he can do more for you than any of these single wide receivers. I think he blocks better than any of the wide receivers. He's bigger than all of the big 3 wide receivers. He's really, really fast. Like, I think that the Falcons are going to try to ride it out one more season with Matt Ryan and Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley, and now with Kyle Pitts on that line. I really think that they're going to try to go all out one more year and try to win now before all of those veterans leave the team, before all of those expiring contracts are off the books. I think they're going to go one more time, try to get one more hurrah, and try to make one more big push for the playoffs. And I think that Kyle Pitts is going to give them the best opportunity to do that. Now, JGB says, me too, Looney. Let Shanahan prep him for the next season when they let go of Jimmy G. Fair enough. Steve-O says, I think the 49ers take Justin Fields. If I were the 49ers, I would take Justin Fields, but I think just the way and the things I've been hearing, I think they're leaning more towards Mac Jones. No problem, Motor City. One Pride 40 is in the building. What's going on? How are you doing? The Falcons will go Fields here if he's there, in my opinion. Like I said, I think the Falcons are going to trade down in general. I don't think they're going to sit at the 4th overall spot, but I think if they do, I think a weapon makes the most sense here. Mac Jones is pop and smoke. And maybe. Pitts isn't that good of a blocker. I don't think he's like a tremendous blocker, but I think if you were to compare him to the 3 wide receivers, you're going to get better blocking out of him. One Pride 40 says he is dangerous. I agree. I do agree with that. Kyle Pitts goes with the 4th overall selection. Now, this is really where the draft starts to get interesting for me, because I think the smart move would be to take Penei Sewell. If you're the Cincinnati Bengals, your quarterback is literally coming off a torn ACL, torn MCL, like almost career-threatening injury after, 10 games of his NFL career. Like, in my opinion, it makes the most sense to take the offensive tackle in Penei Sewell. However, it sounds like Joe Burrow really, really wants them to take Ja'Marr Chase. So I don't really know which way to go. And I'd love to hear you guys' opinion. If you want to leave your comments here, what do you think is going to happen? Because this is one that I'm actually torn on. This is one where I'm just not entirely sure which way the Bengals are going to go, because I want them to go Ja'Marr Chase. I really do, because I think if Ja'Marr Chase is picked here, I think Penei Sewell falls to Detroit, and that's exactly what I want to happen. But I think the smart thing for them would be to take the offensive tackle. Now, let's see. One Pride 40 says Bengals go Ja'Marr Chase. That's kind of the way I'm leaning, and that kind of seems like the way it's going right now. But like Angela said right here, they'd be dumb if they were to go Ja'Marr Chase, because the draft class is simply that deep. I really don't know. This is one that I'm really struggling with. Steve-O says, if you want to see a tight end that can block, check out Tommy Tremble from Notre Dame. Absolutely, 100%. He's one of my favorite players in the draft. Every tight end should block with his effort. I do not disagree with that. I like Tommy as a lot. I hope they take Chase just because Penei Sewell fallen to us. I know that's what I'm thinking too. I really want that to happen. The Bengals are notorious for being cheap. That's fair. I wish Sewell would come to us, but I doubt it. Steve-O, he nice. Yeah, I mean, like you said, like this is the pick for me that is just really, really stressful. But I guess a little bit for personal bias, and because I genuinely think that Joe Burrow wants this so bad, I think he's going to talk his coaches into making it. I think the Bengals are going to go Ja'Marr Chase at 5. And people are going to disagree. And if you think they should go the other way, I agree with you. However, I think just from what I've heard, with all the interest they've shown in Ja'Marr Chase, and with Joe Burrow being so adamant about wanting his top weapon back, getting that chemistry back, and, honestly, giving him just another weapon with AJ Green walking, I really think that it's possible and realistic that the Bengals go here. I wouldn't go here, but I think it's likely, if not, I think it's realistic, if not actually likely to happen on Thursday night. Now, One Pride 40 says, and they make a grave for Burrow after that pick. Yeah, I mean, they already got one ready right there. We have one in Hawkinson. I don't really want to draft the tight end unless Pitts does fall to us, but I'll check him out. Like, yeah, I mean, if it's like a best player available situation, like Tommy Tremble would be a really good tight end. He's a phenomenal blocker and he's not a bad receiver. It all depends on value, right? I'm not going to take a tight end high when you have TJ Hawkinson, unless, like you said, it is Kyle Pitts. But Tommy Tremble, kind of a later round guy, kind of a little bit of a sleeper. I would not be mad at it if we, like, on a day 3, right? Especially if we trade down and get even more capital, I think that, you could look for Tommy Tremble late in the rounds. Now, with the 6th overall pick with the Miami Dolphins on the board, I think they go weapon. I think they give Tua as much help as possible. Tua looked okay at times last year, looked good in some games, looked not great in others. Not solely, but at the end of the season was able to keep that season alive, was able to, help and contribute to that Dolphins team going 10-6. I think they give him a weapon, and I think just like the Bengals, I think they're going to give him a familiar guy, a guy that he's worked with before, and his most productive receiver in this draft that's from the that's in this draft class right now. One Pride 40, we are on pick number 6 for the Miami Dolphins. I think it makes the most sense for them to go Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle, to me, is the second best wide receiver in this class. He's the second best wide receiver and is the best wide receiver out of Alabama. When Tua was there at Alabama, I felt like Jalen Waddle was more of a go-to guy than Devontae Smith. When Tua Tagovailoa was there, Jalen Waddle produced far more than Devontae Smith on a snap-to-snap basis. I think it just makes the most sense right here for the Miami Dolphins to go with the wide receiver, give him as many weapons as possible, and really see next year, is Tua your guy, or do we have to move on and find our next guy? And Tua just simply wasn't the answer. Steve-O, what's your lock for pick 7 since we're in draft week? That's interesting. He says Waddle. I do not want Waddle. I really, really don't. Man, I've been on Browns Bears blogs trying to find football. These notifications don't come on for Detroit, LOL. Hey, well, we're lucky to have you here, Dom Burr. So happy to have you. Go Lions is here in the building as well. What up, Doe? How you doing? I'm finna be sweating bullets during 7. I know I'm going to be so stressed out, but if this is how the draft board falls, and I don't think this is unrealistic to think, the Lions would be dumb not to take Penei Sewell. Like, honestly, I know there's going to be an argument. I know there's going to be people saying that Slater is better than Sewell, but to me, I've watched both of them. I love both of them. I mean, if we could have both of them on the team, like, I would have both of them. But to me, I think Penei Sewell is better. I think Penei Sewell is the more polished product. I think he's got a little bit more upside. And, personally, I just like him a little bit better as a prospect. But if you were to say Slater, and if the Lions even were to pass over Sewell for Slater, I heard there was a rumor about that as well, I would very much not be upset with the pick. Go Lions, says Slater. Would not disagree with you, but I think Sewell is just a little bit better. And Steve-O says, if Trey Lance is there, I would seriously consider taking him, but I like taking the tackle Slater or Sewell. I'm not a big fan of Trey Lance. I've watched enough. Like, I don't like him all that much. Personally, I think he's got a lot of talent and a ton of upside, but I think he has more problems day one than the other 3 quarterbacks. So that's kind of where I'm sitting at right now. Trade back first or take Slater at 7. Like I said, I think the Lions should trade back. I think the Lions are going to trade back if the opportunity is available. But in today's video, I'm not going to do draft, or I'm not going to do trades. So Luke G's in the building, says, what's up, writer? How you doing? Hope you have a good time in the draft. Motor City Sports says, we're not taking Penny. Maybe not, but I think it's realistic. I genuinely think that there is a real chance that we take Penei Sewell. And if we do, I would be ecstatic about it. If there is any quarterback, there are offers good to pass on, I think. I don't disagree. But like I said, I'm not trading back in today's video, but I think in real life, the Lions should look to trade back. Even regardless of who's there, I think they have to take the calls and at least see. I say Slater or Chase if he falls. I love Chase's physicality. He can run over the middle, beat you deep, beat jams, get separation, and has nice hands. I don't disagree. I think he's really good. I don't know if he's going to be there at the 7th overall pick. I think it's either going to be him or Sewell. One of the two is going to fall to 7. So honestly, I think either one, you can't really go wrong with either. Personally, I'd prefer the tackle to solidify the O-line, but at this point, I would not be mad at either one of them. We would trade back at that point. I don't disagree. I don't disagree at all. I don't disagree. But like I said, I'm not trading in today's video. Is there going to be people upset with no QB? I probably, but this is how I see the draft playing out. This is how I think it's going to be. So people can be mad, but this is how I see it. Did anyone else think it was interesting? Holmes mentioned the history of the Lions taking a wide receiver high in the draft. I mean, I don't know. I think that there's something to read into there, but I don't think that necessarily tells you one way or another, because you could read into that and be like, oh, he's going to follow the history. He's going to do what we did before, same old Lions. Or or you're saying, okay, he mentioned that he obviously recognizes the pattern and has recognized that it hasn't worked. So, I mean, yeah, you could read into it a little bit, but I think either way you can look at it, it means something very different. So I saw that and I did take note, but I don't think it's really a big thing where it's like, oh, he revealed his draft secrets. So is he there? If he's there, you better take him. I agree. I fully 100% agree. Now at the 8th overall pick, this is one where it's, again, like I'm not super familiar with the Carolina Panthers needs. I know they just traded for Sam Darnold, so that's interesting. As far as the team needs chart, it says quarterback. I think they're going to rock with Sam Darnold for at least a year. Cornerback, I think, is interesting. I don't know their secondary very well, but I know that it's not incredibly good. Offensive tackle, safety, I'm not sure about, but linebacker to replace Luke Kuechly, I don't doubt. So really for me, it's between Slater or Patrick Surtain. I think they can go either way with this pick. I really, really do. But I think that the Carolina Panthers are going to try to give Sam Darnold as much protection, as much firepower as possible. So I have them taking Rashawn Slater here with the 8th overall selection. Going back to some of the comments, if Sewell is there, I would rather us stay at 7. You don't give up that type of talent just to drop back and maybe. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I think trading back is the move valid, but if Chase or Sewell is there, it's a must pick. 100% with you right there. Lol, there will be people upset no matter what we pick at 7. Very, very true. Very true. No kidding. Just get the pick right. No doubt. I remember people getting upset that we didn't take Oliver. I was indifferent. I was like, I kind of saw both sides where it's like, I like Hockenson. I like Oliver. I thought the defensive tackle was going to be a little bit more impactful, but I mean, hey, credit where credit's due. Bob Quinn got it right. So if we got a chance to complete the O-line, we should do it with Sewell or Slater. I 100% agree. I think they go O-line as well. Good stuff. I'm not surprised. I mean, I think that this is realistic. Like I said, it's between Surtain or Slater to me. And Pat, he said you wanted Oliver. I did, but I wasn't upset that it was kind of a win-win situation because I liked Oliver as a prospect. I liked him as a player, but at the same time, I wasn't mad that we drafted TJ Hockenson, if that makes sense. Like if Oliver was on the board and so was TJ Hockenson, I thought that defensive tackle would have been a better position for them to address the trenches more so than a tight end, but I was not upset with the pick at all. I was not upset in any way. Now, Denver's on the clock here as well. I talked about Denver potentially looking to even move up for a quarterback. In this mock draft, a quarterback ends up falling to them, and I think that they're going to look for a quarterback. I really think that, their head coach is looking for a new quarterback. They offered the 9th overall pick for Matthew Stafford. I think they've seen what they need to see from Drew Lock, and I think they are truly ready to move on and move on to the future with a new starting quarterback and with not only one, but 2 of arguably the top 4 quarterbacks in this class falling to number 9. I think the Denver Broncos take a chance. I think they jump on Justin Fields, quarterback from Ohio State. I simply think Justin Fields is the 3rd best quarterback in this class. I think he's very close to Zach Wilson as far as potential. I think he's far better. I think he has a far better floor right now on day 1 than what you're getting with Trey Lance. Justin Fields is a guy that I would sit if I were the Denver Broncos, at least for the first couple of weeks. However, if you need to start him day 1, I think Justin Fields is going to be better for you than if you were to take Trey Lance. So I think with Denver showing very obvious, being very blatant that they have offered picks to get a veteran quarterback, that they are ready to move on from Drew Lock, I think that they take a quarterback here. And to me, the best quarterback on the board still is Justin Fields. Now, at number 10, for the Dallas Cowboys, this is the pick that we are at right now. There's a couple different ways. I think Patrick Surtain is a good pick for them. Their secondary was not particularly good. Their defense was absolutely atrocious a year ago. Defense in general wasn't very good. However, I don't think that they're going to address defensive line because really the only defensive lineman I think goes in the first round. If you think Aziz is like a D lineman, that's fair. But I'm talking like strict defensive tackle. Like Christian Barmore is the only guy to me that would go in the first, and I wouldn't take him at 10. So to me, I think Patrick Surtain is the best pick for them right here. Looney Tune says, yeah, if Slater and Sewell are gone, I would not mind him. I really like his run blocking ability. Fair enough. Talking about Tevin Jenkins from earlier. As long as the line's just an OT at 7, I'm good. That's where I'm at right now. Trade back. 100%. I think it's possible. And Luke says, I think the boys go linebacker. That was my other one where it was like, it's going to be defense for me because their offense was actually really good a season ago. Like their wide receiver court is genuinely a really good one. Dak Prescott, I don't think he deserves $40 million, but I think he's a good quarterback. And, Zeke is Zeke. Like he had a down year, but I think he's fine. That offensive line was not great, but I think it's at least serviceable. And your defense, if you're the Cowboys, is just simply atrocious. So I think that I think it's either linebacker or cornerback for me. It's a defensive player for sure. And to me, one of the best, if not the best defensive player in the class is Patrick Surtain. I think he's just a really good cornerback. I think he's going to fit well in Dallas. I think he's, scheme versatile, like One Pride 40 says down here, right? Jerry Jones loves him some flash, and I think if you get a flashy big name cornerback, that's such a Jerry Jones pick over the safer defensive tackle or maybe the safer linebacker. A guy in the front seven is not going to sell as many jerseys as a number one cornerback. So I think Jerry Jones makes this move. I think he makes the flashier move, the move that is going to get some more coverage, move that is going to get some more media attention, and I think that is a very Jerry Jones pick to maybe pass up on the safer option for a guy that is in your secondary, a guy that's going to be a flashy guy and a guy that's going to get people excited and right back in their seats. Kansas Cowboys are going to get Parsons in this constellation, I reckon. I mean, I don't disagree. I don't think Parsons is a bad player, but honestly, I think that they take, like I said, I think it's a very Jerry Jones pick to go with Patrick Surtain. I think Patrick Surtain is the biggest cornerback name in the draft. There's gonna be a video to come out in a couple of days. I don't have Patrick Surtain as my CB1. I have him as my cornerback 2, and actually, I do have, like Steve-O said, I think that J.C. Horn is the top cornerback. I'm 100% with you on that. But I think that the bigger name here is Patrick Surtain, and I think that's a move that Jerry Jones is going to look to make. Now, with the New York Giants on the clock, it's kind of an interesting situation because Danny Dimes, to me, I've seen enough. I don't think he's the quarterback of the future. One Pride 40 says, honestly, I think Parsons goes at 10. I don't disagree. He's one part for you also says he's not a fit for us. I 100% agree with that. Go Lions says, I think Slater is the pick at 7, but we are looking good for a trade back, and we'll take Tevin Jenkins between 12 and 20. I don't disagree with that. The Cowboys already have a Leighton Vander Esch and Smith at linebacker. I don't see them taking linebacker that high. That's a fair point. But, with the Giants on the board, I don't really know where to go because I don't think the Giants' weapons are bad. Kenny Golladay obviously just went there. They have Darius Slayton, who is pretty good. They have Evan Ingram, who's pretty good. Like, they have some decent weapons, so I don't think they go wide receiver. I don't think they go quarterback. I haven't heard any rumors really, and I'm not really big on Giant stuff, but I haven't heard a lot of rumors about the Giants taking a quarterback. I haven't heard a lot of them moving on from Danny Dimes. So, and those are kind of the top guys. Cornerback, I don't think is a big need. I thought their cornerbacks were actually really good a season ago. If you look at their needs right here, it says edge, center, guard, wide receiver. I totally disagree with, and linebacker. I think this could be where you see the first linebacker go off the board. And I don't know how you guys feel, but Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah is my linebacker 1. He's my guy that I just think he's the best linebacker. I think he simply plays the linebacker position much better than Micah Parsons, whereas Micah Parsons is more so just an athlete playing linebacker. So I think, they're not going to take Trey Lance, in my opinion. They're not going to take Devontae Smith. They're not going to take J.C. Horn. They could potentially take a tackle maybe to replace Nate Solder on the edge, but I personally don't see it. And then to me, it's between Micah Parsons and Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. And One Part 40 says, we are more likely trading back. Go Lions, don't disagree. Smith might not last in Dallas much longer. Fair enough. Very true. Jerry Jones loves flash and Parsons flash just like Pitts. I don't disagree. You want to move on from Smith? I don't know. Parsons is going to Washington. I live in Virginia. That's their target. Good to know. Some random news, but there is some clamor around the league that Arizona might trade up for a wide receiver. I don't think that's unrealistic at all. One part 4 says, I highly doubt it. I don't disagree. I don't think it's that outlandish. But Smith is like making a lot of money, and it's going to be hard for him to move on from him. I don't disagree. But sitting at the 11th overall pick, I think it's going to be linebacker. I think it makes the most sense. And for me, Jeremiah is my linebacker 1, but that's just how I see it. The Eagles, I don't think they pass on a wide receiver. If you look at their wide receiver core, it simply isn't very good. And I think the no-brainer pick right here is Devontae Smith. I think Devontae Smith is I don't think he's a bad wide receiver. And I think people believe that I think he's a bad wide receiver just because I don't want the Lions to take him. That's not the case. I think he's going to be fine. I have a little bit of concerns. I have a few concerns with his size. I have a few concerns with some other things. But By no means do I think he's a bad wide receiver. By no means do I think that Devontae Smith is a bad player. And I think that he is a top 15, top 10 kind of a talent. I just don't simply want the Lions to take him. OT from VT on the Washington radar as well. That's a guy I think is interesting. Christian Darrisaw, a guy that we haven't talked about a lot, but a guy that is really solid. I think he's not getting as much hype or as much clamor than some of the other three tackles in this class, or at least the other three big name tackles. But I think Christian Darrisaw could realistically be one of the best offensive tackles from this class. Now at 13, I think that the Chargers could go a couple of different ways. Personally, I see them going protection. I see them protecting their offensive rookie of the year. They have Justin Herbert, they have Keenan Allen, they have Mike Williams. I think they take Christian Darrisaw, and it seems like Steve O agrees with me. I think the Chargers take Darrisaw. That was where my mind was at. I think there was rumors that if Penny Sewell fell to 7, the Chargers may be looking to move up to select him. That tells me right there they're looking for an offensive tackle, the best offensive tackle on the board right now. It's a toss-up between either Tevin Jenkins, who's down here, or Christian Darrisaw. I think they both have very different play styles. But I think Christian Darrisaw is maybe a little bit better of a pass protector than what you're going to get in Tevin Jenkins. That he's just a little bit more clean. And I've mentioned this, and I haven't talked about Christian Darrisaw yet, but there's a video I've already pre-recorded that talks about Christian Darrisaw a little bit. He didn't allow a single sack in his junior season. He did not allow a single sack the last time he played. And I think he's just a very good, very solid pass protector. And I think the Chargers go Christian Darrisaw right here. A little bit of an underrated prospect, a guy that, not everybody is talking about, but a guy nonetheless that I think is going to be really, really good for the LA Chargers. Now, Minnesota is on the board. I have them going punter here. I'm just kidding, obviously. I wish they would take a punter, but that's obviously not going to happen. They were an interesting team. They started off very, very slow, but they kind of picked it up near the end of the year. And of course, sitting at the 14th selection, I do think that they have a couple of needs, but I think they finished incredibly strong this season to go. Now, it says that they're looking for edge rushers, guards, safeties, and offensive tackle. Offensive line seems like something they could address. However, I don't know if they're going to reach all the way down the board for a guy that they can maybe get a little later. One part 40 says it's crazy how Lance is still on the board. I mean, I don't know if Lance is going to go off the board, but honestly, if you look at the draft, quarterback at 1, quarterback at 2, quarterback at 3, I don't think Lance goes either of those. I don't think the Falcons take a quarterback. The Bengals don't take a quarterback. The Dolphins don't take a quarterback. I don't think the Lions take one. The Carolina Panthers just traded for one. Denver takes one. Dallas just franchise tag Dak Prescott. I think you could maybe say Trey Lance at 11, but I haven't heard anything that they are even unhappy or thinking about it so far. The Eagles, I don't think take a quarterback. The Chargers definitely don't take a quarterback. And then we're sitting here at 14 where, they're not going to take a quarterback. Minnesota mini O-line from USC. It's possible. He says, I think the Vikings go pass rusher, Payer Phillips. That's kind of a shot. That's kind of the route I was thinking. How long is Cousins under contract? I believe he has 3 more years under contract. And, I have that feeling. Steve-O says, no way Fields lasts till 9. Some team will trade up for him. Like I said, I'm not doing trades, but that's very fair to say. Like I said, I'm thinking defense. I'm thinking edge rusher. They don't really have their guy in what's his name? Everson Griffin isn't there anymore. It sounds like Danielle Hunter might actually be out as well. So I think that they're going to be getting an edge rusher. I think they're going to be looking for one. And although the draft board may not suggest it, I think Jalen Phillips is the best edge rusher in the class. So that's who I have the Miami Dolphins picking up here. They improve at edge rusher. They improve at defensive line. I think that simply that is the best pickup for them. And then the Patriots sitting here at 15, they lucked out as far as how the board fell. And I think Trey Lance is a no-brainer with the 15th overall pick. Cam Newton, he did get re-signed, but he's only on a 1-year contract. Trey Lance does have a lot of upside. He does have a lot of potential. He's going to be sitting behind a guy in Cam Newton who I think has some similar skill sets, is a bigger quarterback, is a more mobile quarterback, is a guy that, I was going to say this isn't the highest come out, but he was the number 1 pick. I think the Patriots go here with Trey Lance. I think that they're going to look out. They're going to cross their fingers. I think he's a very Patriots quarterback, right? I mean, he's a guy that Bill Belichick is not going to pass on. Bill Belichick, I think he filled out a lot of needs in free agency. Bill Belichick is looking to win now, but Bill Belichick is also not stupid. He knows Cam Newton, even if he plays well this year, isn't going to be around for much longer, and he knows Trey Lance is going to be significantly cheaper. Next year, of course, obviously Cam Newton's only on a 1-year deal. You get your future quarterback, you give him a season to sit, you give him a season to learn that Patriots system, and you give him arguably the best coach in the NFL in Bill Belichick as a head coach. And even Josh McDaniels, I believe he's still the offensive coordinator there in New England. I think that he is, obviously a pretty good offensive coordinator, all things considered. I think it's just a really good fit for Trey Lance. Now, Dwight Mitchell says Trey Lance will look great in a Patriots uniform. I think it happens. I really do. I think that Trey Lance is the 5th quarterback off the board, but I don't think he falls any farther than 15. 15 is the very lowest I see Trey Lance going in the NFL draft, to be honest. Steve-O says, if Phillips didn't have concussions, he'd be a top 10 pick. 100% agree. Arizona is on the board, and as Go Lions says, I have them taking J.C. Horn. I mean, if you look at the battles J.C. Horn has had over the past 3 seasons at South Carolina, even the past 2 seasons, he has ran through an absolute gauntlet. I mean, he played all 4 of those Alabama first-round wide receivers. He played Jamar Chase. He played all the Clemson guys. He played if you think of a big-name wide receiver come out in the past 3 years, he was played against by J.C. Horn. I think he's the most battle-tested. He got a very high RAS score. He's a very athletic kid. He improved a lot from last season or 2 seasons ago to last season. Arizona has struggled at the cornerback position. They just let Patrick Peterson walk. They have Byron Murphy, who I think is more of a nickel cornerback. And then I believe they have Robert Alford as well, but you got to get a little younger. You have to get, some more players in that secondary if you're the Arizona Cardinals. And I think J.C. Horn makes the most sense here for Arizona, looking to improve the secondary and looking to maybe get their Patrick Peterson replacement. Looney Tunes says, lol, you better make New England draft a receiver later. We'll get there. We will get there for sure. We'll get there for sure. Some better give us a haul. Don't disagree with that. Would you guys take Farley at 41 if he falls that far? It's a blue chip talent to get in the second round. If Caleb Farley is there in the second round, I'm taking him. Don't care. Caleb Farley is a first-round cornerback. He's a first-round talent, and I think that I think he's going to go in the first round. I don't think there's any way he falls, but if Caleb Farley is there in the second round, obviously it depends who else is there, but there's a very good argument to be made there. Steve-O, I'm with you. I think that could be a real good talent and value for the second round of the draft, and simply, use best player available at some point. Sometimes that's just the best option. Now, the Raiders are on the clock, and the first thing that sticks out to me is linebacker. And for some reason, I don't know if this is just some inherent bias. For some reason, I just see Micah Parsons being a very John Gruden linebacker. He's kind of a bigger guy, kind of more of a blitz heavy guy that's not really great in coverage, but a guy that's going to rush the passer, a guy that John Gruden's going to blitz, a guy that has, a few question marks as far as personality. I don't know. I just feel like Micah Parsons to me seems like a very John Gruden-esque pick. Obviously, let me know what you guys think. We're not going to make the pick for a minute or two, but right now, I'm thinking Micah Parsons for this. Another good shot would be offensive line. Offensive linemen are not a big part of the Raiders thing anymore. I mean, they traded away most of their offensive line. I think that, but I don't think they would have done that if they didn't have a plan for it. You know what I mean? And that could be drafting. I think they traded away 4 of their 5 starters on the offensive line. So for me right now, it's between either Elijah Vera-Tucker or it is Micah Parsons to me. It's one of those two. Now, Steve-O says, I could see Las Vegas taking Parsons, but the smart move would be to take Tucker. I agree with that. I agree. I think taking an offensive tackle, although I think Micah Parsons is the most Raiders-esque linebacker that you're going to find in a while. I think offensive lineman, just like the Detroit Lions, makes by far the most sense. And, I think that, honestly, I think Elijah Vera-Tucker is going to be a guy that becomes a Las Vegas Raider and joins John Gruden in Vegas. Now, Can says, I am on board. Very Raiders-esque take. I think either one works, but I think Elijah Vera Tucker makes a little bit more sense if you're John Gruden because you traded away all those really good offensive linemen that helped you see the success you had a season ago. So although I do think that Micah Parsons is a very Raiders guy, I think Elijah Vera Tucker makes more sense. And One Pride 40 says, load up for next year as much as you can so I can get a few defensive prospects. Again, I don't disagree, but like I said, we're not trading down or acquiring anything else in this class. Now, the Dolphins are back on the clock at 18. This is actually the real pick, whereas this was the Houston Texans pick. They took a wide receiver here. They took a wide receiver with the 6th overall pick. And with the 18th pick, I think they could go protection. I think they could be a guy, I think they could go offensive lineman. Like I said, right here, their biggest needs are wide receiver and offensive tackle. They took a wide receiver already. I don't see an offensive tackle. Maybe Tevin Jenkins goes here. Maybe that's a possibility. But, honestly, I don't know. Like, there's a couple different places they could go. I know they just lost a guy with Kyle Van Noy, who just left the Miami Dolphins, was actually just cut. They could look to replace him at linebacker, and if that's the case, Micah Parsons could be an interesting take here. Let's see. My goal line says Miami Ojulari. I don't disagree with that necessarily. Steve O says, if the Lions trade back to 15, would you take Parsons? I agree. He still has a lot to learn, but linebacker, play linebacker, but you can't deny his talent. That's true. And I think if we trade back to 15, there's a very real conversation to be had there. But it depends who else is on the board as well. What's his name? Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah is on the board, I'll still take him over Parsons, but I'm not upset about it. Ken says double dipping with Bateman would be interesting. That could be an interesting take for sure. That could be something interesting. I don't know. Miami has kind of an interesting situation because they were 10-6 a season ago. They really had a real good formula. And honestly, I think Micah Parsons fits. I didn't watch a ton of Miami last year, so you can, if you know better, if you're a Miami fan or, if you watch more Miami games than I did, you can disagree and you can obviously inform me. But I felt like Kyle Van Noy was mostly used as a blitzer, a guy that's going to pressure the quarterback. And I felt like he made a lot of plays in that front seven getting to the quarterback. And that, to me, is Micah Parsons' skill set. I think Micah Parsons is just a bigger, faster, stronger version of Kyle Van Noy. Maybe not with the technical aspects just yet, but I think Micah Parsons could go to the Miami Dolphins if he's there. Steve O says, One Pride 40, I'm taking Thibodeau next year if he's on the board, 100%. 100%. I would only take Parsons if he fell to the second, but I don't see that happening. I don't either. I do see Micah Parsons being a first-round talent. Steve-O says, I think Miami takes Collins, Ojulari, or Parsons, depending on who's on the board. That's my thinking, and I do think they go Micah Parsons here. I don't think Micah Parsons falls any farther than that. They are going to get their guy right here. They're going to get their guy right now in Micah Parsons. And then Washington's on the board. Washington, very interesting team. Made the playoffs a season ago. They were a wild card team. They gave the Buccaneers actually a decent run for their money. Like, they were relatively close. And I don't think there's a quarterback here worth taking. If you go to quarterbacks, the big five are gone. Your next guy would be Kellen Mond, who I don't see as a first-round talent, maybe Davis Mills as well. But I don't see them going quarterback. Their defense was really solid. Their defense was really good. Their front four was phenomenal a season ago. They could look to upgrade the secondary. I think that's very possible. And there's also, the linebacking core. Their linebackers, although their edge rushers, although their defensive line was incredibly good, their linebackers, I didn't think played particularly well. Wide receiver to me is not an option because they have Scary Terry and they just signed Curtis Samuel. So to me, I think it makes the most sense for a cornerback or a safety. I think the secondary makes the most sense, or an offensive lineman. And when you look at offensive linemen, you have Samuel Cosme, Tevin Jenkins, you have Wyatt Davis, who probably won't go. You have Creed Humphrey, who could be really, really interesting. Creed Humphrey, I think, is really kind of a wild card, could be a sleeper pick for the Washington football team. Is it crazy to think Miami might take Parsons at 6, and that's why they traded back up? They think the Lions. That's a theory. I mean, I'm definitely not upset at that. safety or linebacker for Washington. That's kind of what I was thinking. I think their offensive line could get a little bit more revamped, but for me, honestly, safeties they're good, but I don't know if any of them are really a first round kind of a talent. I think Morig is decent. I think Richie Grant is really good. Richie Grant's my safety 1. Javon Holland's my safety 2, and then it goes Morig and Nasir Ladine. But for me, linebacker still on the board. Jamin Davis is sitting right there. Jamin Davis is right there for the picking at the 19th overall pick, and I think that makes the most sense to me. Looney Tunes says One Pride exactly. That's why I wouldn't want him at 7. I don't want Parsons at 7 either. One Pride 40 says if you don't find a lot of guys Parsons' size that move like him, he's a freak athlete. That's where I think a lot of the hype comes from. But with that being said, at the 19th spot, with the Washington football team looking for some linebacker help, I think they either go Jamin Davis or Zaven Collins. I think it really depends. However, I think they do go Jamin Davis. I think Jamin Davis, top linebacker, one of the top linebackers in the class. I think he's really good. He can cover. He's really, really athletic. He's a real good athlete. I think he can really help, take advantage. That Washington defensive line is going to open up a lot of holes, and Jamin Davis can do a lot of things for your defense. He can cover. He can even blitz a little bit. He's a solid tackler. He's super athletic. You can use him in a lot of different roles. For me, Jamin Davis is your guy at 19 for the Washington football team, but another guy you could also look at is Zaven Collins. So for me, Jamin Davis goes with the 19th overall selection. At 20, the Chicago Bears are on the clock. The Chicago Bears, they did just lose Akeem Hicks, so that's why my first thought was Christian Barmore. Let me know what you guys think. Of course, Christian Barmore for me is a guy that I think goes. If you go to this, defensive tackle is one of their top needs. Quarterback, I don't think they're going to go quarterback. There's not really a quarterback here. Cornerback, I think is possible. I really, really do. Cornerback is they just lost Kyle Fuller. I think it's really interesting. They could go that route. Offensive tackle is possible. Tevin Jenkins is always a shout here. Wide receiver, I think their wide receiver group is fine. Not elite, but I think fine. And then Akeem Hicks, a big part of your defense, was literally just moved on. From. So for me, it's either cornerback or it's defensive tackle. And I think defensive tackle, building up your front seven, is more the style of the Chicago Bears. So for me, I have them replacing Akeem Hicks with a guy like Christian Barmore at the 20th overall position. Looney Tunes says, I like Javen Davis more than Parsons, even though I view him more as a run stopper. Fair enough. Don't disagree with it. But he can cover a little bit from what I've seen. 100%. 100%. One Pride, I don't think Parsons was asked to do a lot of coverage at Penn State. I can see Parsons being a good coverage linebacker with his speed. I think Parsons has all the tools to be there. I think that he has all the tools to be great at coverage, but he has to develop that mental side of the game a little bit. Now, Goal Line says Chicago, Farley, cornerback from Virginia Tech. That's another guy I was thinking. He's my next cornerback. I know Greg Newsome is right here, wherever my mouse is. I know Greg Newsome's up here, but for me, Caleb Farley is my third cornerback. So he was another guy I was looking at, but I just felt like Akeem Hicks was such a big part of their defense when he was on the field that when he's gone now, and even when he wasn't on the field last season, the Bears looked like a different football team. So for me, I feel like they're going to try to replace that as soon as possible with unarguably the best defensive tackle in the class. Luke G says, I hate to say, but Bears will go QB Mac Jones. I mean, if he's there, I don't know if he falls to number 20, but if he's there, I see that as a very realistic thing as well. Like I said, if he's there, I think he gets taken by the Bears, but I don't know if he falls past all these teams that are looking for a quarterback, to be honest. Even I don't think he falls past 15, to be honest. But if he's there, 100%. The 100%. And, Lincoln says that's funny, or that'd be funny. Mac Jones is not a bad quarterback. He's really, really not. Now, Indianapolis is on the board. Again, not very familiar with Indianapolis. It does say they need edge rusher. It does say they need offensive tackle. Wide receiver I knew. Tight end I knew about. And cornerback, I don't see, especially if they're in need of an edge rusher, I don't see how they pass on Azeez Ojulari. They had they had a really good defense a season ago. They got some pressures. I don't know exactly who they lost, but I can tell you that DeForest Buckner, I can tell you that DeForest Buckner and Azeez Ojulari are going to be a really deadly duo of pass rushers. And I think if the Colts are sitting there, if Azeez is on the board, I think they do look to take him as well. Imagine if the Bears Imagine Bears fans if they take him. Bears fans are not going to be happy, but I don't think it's bad. No, Luke, they'll take Kyle Trask. That would be funny. That would kill me. That would be hilarious. Tennessee's on the board. I think they take Tevin Jenkins. I really do. Tevin Jenkins, to me, like, obviously the Tennessee Titans are a run-first team. They drafted Isaiah Wilson a season ago in a very similar spot, mind you. They drafted Isaiah Wilson out of Georgia to be that big-time right tackle. I think they obviously traded him with the personality concerns and all of that. I think that Tevin Jenkins goes here. He fits them so well. He's such a tenacious, such a nasty run blocker. I think it makes too much sense for the Tennessee Titans to pass over Tevin Jenkins at this spot. Steve O says, do you guys believe the Mac Jones is really who San Francisco is taking at 3? I just can't see them trading up to that much to draft him. Honestly, I can see it. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I do see it. I really do. And especially if you're a football team, if you are a football team that believes in this quarterback, I don't think that, if you are a team that believes in your quarterback, I think that you do trade up just because you think he's your guy. If the Bears don't take Rashad Bateman at 20, pencil him in at 27 or 31 for the Ravens. I don't disagree. I think the Titans go wide receiver. That was another place I was going. But to me, the Titans are just a very run-first team. They are a team that is going to look to get as much, they're building around Derrick Henry. They've built around Derrick Henry. And for me, I think it just makes the most sense. They have A.J. Brown, who is a phenomenal wide receiver. I think he's top 15 in the NFL right now as a wide receiver. And this wide receiver class is really, really good. And you're not going to get Tevin Jenkins in the second round, but you could get a really productive wide receiver in the second round. So that's why I had them going offensive tackle over wide receiver, but wide receiver is a really good spot for it as well. The Titans will run to the podium if Jenkins is there. I don't disagree. Terrence Marshall, wide receiver. That's another guy I was looking at. I like the logic. I like it. Luke, I prefer the Bears to pick up Kyle Trask. I think everybody would prefer the Bears to pick up Kyle Trask. The Jets here, they're sitting here, 23. They have some decent weapons. They have Denzel Mims, who is there. They have, I believe, Pierre Garçon is still there. They have a couple decent weapons, so I don't know if wide receiver is the biggest need. I think running back is interesting. I think running back could be a real nice pickup here. Frank Gore, I think, was their leading rusher a season ago. You look at what's the Jets' needs right here. Jets says quarterback. We addressed that. Offensive tackle, not really a great guy left. Cornerback, possible linebacker or running back. I think running back is potentially possible. Jets say Tevin Jenkins is already gone, so that's unfortunate. I think there's a couple different ways that they can go. I think wide receiver is, less or so, but I think it's possible. I think Najee Harris could be really, really possible. I think Newsome is a guy that could go. Caleb Farley is my cornerback 3. He's still on the board. He could go. So I think when you're the New York Jets, you are coming off a okay season. I don't think your defense is particularly bad. You have Marcus May as a secondary. You have Marcus May in the secondary. You have a couple guys that made a couple plays a year ago that you can maybe build around. I don't like taking a running back in the first round of the draft, honestly. And I really like Najee Harris, and I think that's the pick that they're going to make. You give Zach Wilson, an absolute bruising back. You give him potentially the next Derrick Henry of the NFL. You pair Zach Wilson with Najee Harris. You give him a run game. You give him Denzel Mims and Pierre Garçon on the outside. You give him, maybe an offensive tackle in the second. Maybe, Najee Harris, or like Lunington said, maybe even Travis Etienne. I think running back makes sense. I do. The Jets defense, I actually didn't think it was not good, obviously, but I thought it was definitely not the weakness of their football team. And you may go back to that Raiders loss and say otherwise, but I genuinely thought the offense was much worse than the defense. So for me, I have them taking wide receiver. Travis Etienne is my wide receiver 1, or running back, excuse me. Travis Etienne is my wide receiver, is my running back 1. I think he's a little bit more dynamic through the air. So I feel like, Zach Wilson and Travis Etienne would be a really dangerous duo in the backfield. And I think that's the route the Jets may look to go, especially with all the top offensive tackles off the board. Now, Samuel Cosby, I just read the name wrong. Pittsburgh Steelers on the board here at 24. to me, Najee Harris feels like a Pittsburgh pick to me. So does Zaven Collins. Let's see. The Jets offense sucks. The Jets might take Collins if he's there. I don't disagree. I feel Harris and Wilson. I like it as well. I think Pittsburgh might take Collins if he's there. They need to replace Bud Dupree. I don't disagree with that. But like I said, Najee Harris to me is just a very Pittsburgh pick. They let James Conner walk. They supposedly are going to either Big Ben or Dwayne Haskins this year. Both quarterbacks I think are going to need a really good run game. They have some decent wide receivers. I don't think they have like an elite wide receiver, but Juju is there. He's pretty solid. Dante Johnson is okay. They have some other guys that are decent. I think they're going to look to replace James Conner. I think they're going to look to add Najee Harris to that backfield. They're going to try to get back to that ground and pound, play defense, drain the clock, hit you in the mouth for 60 minutes. I think that's the kind of football the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to look to get back to, and I think that's the pick that they make at 24. Now the Jags are here at 25. And I know the Jaguars gave some weapons. I know the Jaguars, they do have a lot of weapons for, I was going to say wide receiver, but actually I'm kind of talking myself out of it because they did sign Marvin Jones. They do have Laviska Shenault. They do have, I believe Chris Connolly is still there. They do have some other guys. So I think weapons is fine. The Jaguars, they of course picked Trevor Lawrence at number 1. They could look to give him a top offensive tackle. They could look to give him a little bit of protection if he is there. 1.40 says, I'm jealous of the Jets. Fair enough. We will be the Jets next year. One pride. The Lions will run the draft next season. I don't disagree. And James Conner just left, so I could see it. I don't disagree. But, you look at the Jaguars, they weren't a particularly great team. Even the Lions got consistent pressure on Gardner Minshew. The Jaguars simply didn't have a very good offensive line a season ago. It doesn't say it's one of their big needs. I didn't think the Jacksonville offensive line was that good. When Pride 40 says, I hope we add one more pick. I hope there are at least one good quarterback. Cosmo or Humphrey. I think that's the pick, honestly. When Pride 40 says, but the Jets will get Wilson and Harris. Are you kidding me? Hey, that's going to be a good draft for them. For me, I think it's an offensive tackle. I really do. The Jaguars are in a full rebuild. They hold the number 1 pick. You get your franchise quarterback. You've already given him some weapons in the offseason. I think you get him some protection with Samuel Cosmi right here. I think it makes the most sense for the Jaguars. I really do. Protection is a huge thing. Keeping your quarterback upright is a huge thing. That's why there are Bengals fans that want Sewell over Chase because they don't think that anybody else in this class is going to be able to protect Joe Burrow at the same level. So for me, I think Samuel Cosmi makes sense. You protect your franchise quarterback, you protect your guy on the board, and at that point, you just go through it with some. You go through it, and you get arguably the best offensive lineman left available to go protect Trevor Lawrence. Part 40 says, but the Jets get Wilson. Are you kidding me? Yeah, I already read that. There's already 2 to 3 quarterbacks that might break out next year. Malik Wiles, Matt Cornell, and Sam Howell. Sam Howell is fine. Sam Howell is going to be very highly taken in the draft. But that's besides the point. Cleveland is on the board. Honestly, I think an underrated pick here might be Rashad Bateman. I actually do. Because I've been shopping Odell Beckham Jr., They have Jarvis Landry, who's okay. But, their needs are edge rusher, linebacker, wide receiver, defensive tackle. Defensive tackle is gone. Edge rusher, there's a couple guys, but they're mostly gone at this point. Linebacker and wide receiver are on the board. You either pick between Rashad Bateman or Zaven Collins here if you're the Cleveland Browns. To me. He says Sam Howell is garbage. Not true. I'll keep my eyes on Malik Willis. I'll have to check him out. But to me, I think wide receiver makes sense for the Browns. They've been looking for trade partners for Odell Beckham Jr. He may not be on the team when training camp rolls around. I think they're going to look to get a little bit younger. Their offensive line was already incredibly good. Their running backs are already really, really good. I think they look to upgrade. I think they get a running back, or not a running back. I think they get a wide receiver, and I think Rashad Bateman does go here with the 26th overall pick. I think it makes sense for Cleveland to add a weapon for Baker Mayfield. They were a really good football team a year ago, and adding another big play guy in the air could be really, really big for the Cleveland Browns. It could give them that one extra weapon to just make that one or two more extra plays to really, take that next step and not only become divisional, not only become guys that are, going to compete for divisions or guys that are going to play in the divisional round, but guys that you could see move on to the AFC Championship, guys that you could see move on to the Super Bowl. I think that a wide receiver makes sense here for them because it could be that one last step to take them over the top. And then at 27, I think that this pick has been penciled in for a while. It's wide receiver. The best wide receiver on the board is Terrence Marshall Jr. at the 27th overall pick. The Ravens don't have a lot of wide receiver talent in the room. They have a decent offensive line, although they just got rid of their franchise offensive tackle. Like, they have a good running back. They have J.K. Dobbins was really, really good. It makes so much sense right here. Terrence Marshall Jr., to me, the best wide receiver left on the board, the best pick, best fit for the Baltimore Ravens as of right now. I don't know why this isn't going back to all. It's thinking. But to me, it makes the most sense. It really, really does. Go Lions says, oh, it broke. I have too many things open. That's unfortunate. I don't want to reset it because it's going to restart the whole draft, but why this kind of loads and figures itself out. 1 part 40 says, we've seen Johnny Football come out as a sophomore and recently Trey Lance. Yeah, that's fair. All right, there it goes. Let's see it. All right. New Orleans is sitting at 28. What does New Orleans do, I wonder? New Orleans, they are on the clock. They have needs at wide receiver, linebacker, cornerback, defensive tackle, and safety. I think Zaven Collins goes here. I think it's that simple. They just lost out on Quan Alexander. I think they're going to look to replace him with Zaven Collins. I think it makes sense right here. Steve-O says, unless he was a redshirt freshman, I don't want him eligible. I'm really enjoying this writer. Appreciate it. Always appreciate it. If you want to hop on, Luke, you're more than welcome to come share some opinions about these draft prospects. I'm sure you've done some more than me. Like you said Saints will add a safety. I think they had linebacker. They just lost their linebacker. They just brought back, I believe, one, if not both of their safeties. Like, I think that their secondary is better than their linebackers. So I think that that's the way that they're going to go. But safety is really realistic as well. Real Detroit Lions fans in the building as well. I'm happy to have you here. Very excited. He was 1 Pride 40, a player who was out of high school 3 years, can't enter the NFL draft. Yeah, 1 second, Luke. I got you. So we are going to 1 second as I try to get one of my very good friends, Luke G's Field review on here. Y'all don't need to see Twitter and stuff. You only need to see group chats. But for me, the pick there was Zaven Collins. Zaven Collins, very good linebacker. I think he has a lot of tools to be successful. As I said, they just lost out on Quan Alexander. They just lost out on Alex Anzalone. I think they're going to look to replace linebacker. I think they're going to look to bring in 1, if not 2 linebackers in this class, bring people back in, try to, really try to reinstate that linebacking core. And, I really think that it could be a really interesting situation for the. All right, Luke, I sent you the link. I think it could be a really interesting scenario for the Saints if they were looking to actually take a linebacker in this class. Now, Real Detroit Sports says, I wish I would have seen this from the beginning. Hit that like button, folks. Yeah, I think our mock draft just isn't going to work now. I think, again, too many things running my computer isn't good enough for this, but we're going to wait a minute. If it's not working, we'll just reload and we'll go through the draft class again. I guess we'll just have to redraft. I don't think it's going to work. Yeah. So I think we're going to have to reload, unfortunately, but so we'll go through really quickly. We'll get back in line and we'll see where we are from here. Green Bay, Tony, wide receiver from Florida. Oh, there we are. Oh, no. Stop. Don't reload then. Of course, as I hit the reload button, it's going to come back up. Green Bay is on the clock, though. Green Bay is on the clock. I think they go Creed Humphrey, to be honest. I really do. I think the Green Bay Packers, they just lost their all-pro they just lost their all-pro center. They just lost their guy in what was his name? It was, I don't know, their guy. Oh my God, it's really gonna do that. I think the Packers go Creed Humphrey. I think they replace their guy in was it Nick Lindsley who left? That might be it. But I think the Packers go offensive tackle. I think they try offensive line. They tried to rejoin that. Things are, of course, just going to be difficult, aren't they? Thank you for repeating this in the draft or in the chat. I appreciate it. We'll go through it all real quick because the page has to reload because it's being super, super slow. Luke is here. How we doing, Luke? Try to add you.
Hey man,
Some
what's
things
going
are
on?
lagging.
Is it lagging?
Can you hear me?
I hear you perfectly fine, man.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I'm sitting up here enjoying. I'm enjoying this too damn much. I'm sitting up here. I'm watching this. And I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense too. Oh yeah, I like that idea too. Oh yeah, this is setting up really well. Because as each pick you make, in my head, I'm thinking, look who's falling to the Lions. Keep this up. Keep this up. I'm enjoying every bit of it.
I appreciate
Now,
it.
if Green Bay got Tony, oh my god, oh, it's just not fair. It wouldn't be fair if they got Tony. What's going on, everybody? What's going on? Ryder, man, you out here killing it, bro.
I appreciate it. I'm trying to reboot the mock draft because it just crashed on me. So, as I said, yeah, it's not fun, but that's all right. We'll figure it out. We'll get through it.
Like I don't know if people pay attention as much as I pay attention, but if y'all pay attention and y'all watch enough of Ryder's videos, if you just watch his background, more and more stuff is ending up on the damn walls. It's just amazing how he finds a way to put something on his walls. I was thinking about that Saints. I think about that Saints pick, and I was thinking to myself, I was like, yeah, they could go linebacker there, but because so many linebackers already got pushed down, they took Zach Bond last year, who they were starting to rotate in anyway. And then I'm like, yeah, they got Marcus Williams, but they had the Marcus Williams. Who's the next safety?
Yeah, that's true. That's fair.
So, but I can see them still going and saying, well, Xavier Collins is a good linebacker, and they said we'll go there. But realistically, because you're not trading, then yeah, you're doing the standard scenario of what would you do if you're stuck there, and if you're stuck there, then you're right. You want to make sure that that you're not only taking what makes the most sense, but I think the Saints is probably going to try to trade their pick.
Yeah, I think that makes sense for sure.
Yeah, I think because if you look at it, you're gonna be probably better served getting rid of that pick to try to get more capital for something later. Apparently, they trust Taysom Hill and they trust Jameis Winston.
Famous Jameis.
I know because he eating W's. That was the worst speech.
W's.
Yeah, that was the worst speech I have ever seen. I got what he was trying to do, but you could tell that it was just awkward and uncomfortable, and people in the circles looking like, okay.
Right. They look so concerned.
Yeah, so I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that it's going to be that way. Giants take Aziz.
I think Michael.
I don't know. Yeah, eating a W. That thing was stupid. That was rough.
We eating a W.
Man, you should be almost to the home stretch. You know that next step into life, right? You're getting close to the graduation, right?
I'm working towards it. Yeah.
All right, man. Listen, we gonna turn up for that. We gonna turn up for that. I'm gonna be all on YouTube. Like, hey, we got to give my man Ryder his love and props. We got to turn up for that.
I'm not gonna lie. I totally forgot who I had going to Washington.
Who going to Washington?
I totally forgot. I just blanked on who I had going there. Oh, was it Jamin Davis? Yeah, I think it was.
I thought you had a linebacker.
I think it's Jamin Davis. And then Chicago, I had them replacing Akeem Hicks. Indianapolis, I had them with Aziz. Tennessee, I had them with Tevin Jenkins, which was one you disapproved of, but
I just think the Titans. I think the Titans would do something a little different, in my opinion. That's all. But I can understand your logic because they did lose Wilson and Conklin.
Yeah. So, and then the Steelers went with Najee. The Jacksonville Jaguars, I believe, went with Samuel Cosmi. I have the Browns taking Rashad Bateman, giving Baker another weapon. I have the Baltimore Ravens out here taking Terrence Marshall Jr. I have Zaven Collins going at 28. I have Creed Humphrey, the offensive center, going at 29, replacing their all-pro center from, I believe he went to LA. I believe he actually went to the Chargers, which is a good pickup, in my opinion, for the Chargers. But that was a guy that I was shocked that they picked Aaron Jones over him. Personally, I thought that was a wrong decision, but they're going to replace him with Creed Humphrey, who probably the best center in the draft. I don't think that's really a dispute among many people. I think they replace him. I think they get good value, good talent here, and they keep rolling as the Green Bay Packers, unfortunately enough. Now the Bills are interesting. What are you thinking here? Because the Bills are a very, very complete team, and I feel like they don't have a ton of needs.
Yeah, I think if you look at the running back room for them, the running back room looks impressive. But I also looked at this team and I said, just go look at that playoff game. What happened for them that sucked? And I think they go wide receiver here.
You said wide receiver?
Yep.
Kadarius Toney's on the board. He's a guy I like a lot.
I mean, because you got to think they did a lot of running with Josh Allen, and I think that if I'm them, I'm adding either a receiver or I'm looking to add another weapon to my offense, so that way we can be more of a pass team too.
Yeah, I like Kadarius Toney here actually, because they have Stephon Diggs, who's really good, but I don't think they have a true wide receiver two. At least in my opinion, I don't know who their wide receiver two is. Maybe John Brown. But I think Kadarius Toney is just really good out of Florida. I mean, really good yard after catch guy. Creates, probably the best separator in this entire draft class. I mean, he's a guy that, especially with Josh Allen's arm, I think is a guy that is going to thrive in Buffalo. So I like that. I think Kadarius Toney's a good pickup here. Baltimore back on the clock. Interesting pick.
I'm worried for Baltimore. I seen this. Okay, so we already know that they just traded Orlando Brown to the Kansas City Chiefs. Right. I saw another article that said that they are open to trading Lamar Jackson.
I saw that too.
And I'm like, oh snap. Like if they trade Lamar Jackson, what are they really saying?
That doesn't make sense to me, but
so I think looking at it, like this, man. I said kids going crazy. Yeah. They saw me walk by. They're like, "Oh, Dad's right there, Dad." But I'm thinking to myself, honestly, like realistically, man, Baltimore to me is a huge wild card because
I agree.
Even if they don't get rid of Jackson, like you got rid of that tackle.
Right.
And I know they want I know they want receiver help. I don't know. Maybe they go running back. This was hard for me because there's so many things that I'm thinking in my head. Like if they go running back, Williams
is still on the board. He's interesting.
ETN is still on the board too.
No, he's not. ETN's gone.
Is he? Oh,
I had him going to the Jets. I had them doubling up on offense, taking Wilson and ETN.
So Go Lions said he think they going safety on this. You know what? You listen. You could take Waterboy. I can't kill you on this. I don't know what the hell they doing over there. It's honestly confusing.
I have no idea, and it's weird because they're a team that was really good a season ago, and I get the offensive tackle trade because he wanted to go. He wanted to play left tackle, and the Ravens didn't want him there. But mean, the Lamar Jackson article caught me so far off guard. Like,
Yeah,
it was crazy.
it's like I said, this one right here. If I'm just thinking about it, let's say we just act like Lamar ain't going nowhere.
Right.
If Lamar ain't going nowhere, Jesus. And their defense need more help too.
I don't disagree. I'm kind of thinking Kwity Paye because they need some edge help.
I like Adrian Burgess' idea of Jason Owen because they do like getting them.
Jason Owa, yeah, I like him too.
Yeah. I'm just thinking. Oh my God, this one is hard.
I like Owa. I think he's a good fit for them. I think that's exactly where they're gonna go. So
you think the outside linebacker / DN? Yeah, because I'm thinking to myself, why would they even make any type of rumors about trading the quarterback? They might be thinking the same thing that I'm thinking when it comes to quarterbacks, is that they're too codependent upon other things working for them to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they probably got to go defense because I think pretty much damn near everybody on their defense is gone. Is Judon still there?
Nope, Judon's with New England.
I thought so. So yeah, see, they got to go defense.
I agree. I think Owa's a good fit. I mean, he's in no way, shape, or form do I believe he ran a 3.39 at his pro day, but he is athletic. He has got a ton of upside. So I think it's a Ravens pick. Athlete, guy that can get you some production, guy that can kind of take over Judon's role. Is that definitely athletic enough to do it? Like, I think it makes sense for the Ravens.
I think that makes a lot of sense. I think they will go with the more, because if they're buying into the hype that he ran a 4.36, like unlike me, I'm not buying that he ran a 4.36.
There's no way.
I mean, he's 1.1 seconds slower than Calvin Johnson. Yeah, okay.
Calvin Johnson might beat him right now.
But. I mean, right? Like, what the hell? So, I think that's the pick.
And then the Tampa Bay Super Bowl winning Buccaneers.
All right, so as a Bucs fan.
Oh, I forgot you were a Bucs fan.
I am a Bucs fan.
Take the floor.
Yeah, as a Bucs fan. So the Bucs are doing one or two things. This really boils down to one or two things. One, they hold fast and take the pick that I think they're going to make, which is I think they will then go quarterback.
You think?
Yeah, because you figure how many more years are you going to get out of Tom Brady? It's either quarterback, and the only other dark horse pick I have for them to take, outside of that, if they stuck there outside of quarterback, was for them to add another defensive player, i.e. to add more help at the cornerback position.
Just stack the defense even more. But
I think realistically, they're going to be the truth. In my opinion, they're going to trade that pick.
Yeah, I agree. Because I like your thinking with the quarterback. Tom Brady says he's going to play 4 more years, but who knows? Like, he might retire tomorrow. Like, he's obviously not going to come out and say like, "Oh, I'm retiring," or like in 2 seasons, or "I'm retiring after next season." Like, truthfully, I don't even think he knows when he's going to retire. And so I like that quarterback move, but honestly, I don't know if there's a quarterback here at 32 that I'd be comfortable with, because Kellen Mond, I think, has some upside, but I don't know if I'd be comfortable taking him at 32, even if
I'm still a fan of David Mills, man. I have been talking about David Mills for a while from Stanford. And I like I said, I think he's somebody who will fit what they want to do. I know Andrew's like, no, they're not taking a quarterback there. I think the original move is to trade down. But if they're stuck there, and you look at the Buccaneers, they don't need much. They got tight ends, they got receivers, they got the running backs.
They have the O-line.
They have the O-line. On defense, they're not lacking in that department.
They returned Levante David's back, isn't he?
Right. And I know Andrew
Barrett and Devin, and like they're all back.
And I know Andrew said that they're going to go safety, but we got Winfield and oh Jesus, I can see his face. I just can't think of his name right now. But they got safeties.
Right. I was upset that we passed on Winfield last year. I liked him a lot.
I know he was your guy. That was your guy right there. And I was like, well, I was like, we didn't get a safety, we didn't get a linebacker, but we did get Okuda, so it's okay.
Yeah. So if they're stuck at 32, what quarterback you thinking? Davis Mills, your dark horse guy?
Davis Mills is my dark horse guy. I feel like
actually I actually like that a lot. I actually like that pick.
I just feel like if they first goal is to trade back, because if you're trading back, you probably can still get David Mills and get everything else, and you can acquire more picks. But if you're just talking about getting ready for the future, you're just talking about moving forward, they can get everything else on defense in the second, third, or fourth round. They can get, they want to add more weapons to the offense, like receivers, running back. You can get all that in the second round. Right. They are essentially in a position where it does not matter where they're selecting. So their team is pretty much set for this year. So what they're doing is they're picking up people for the future. Like I said, the only two positions I could think of is cornerback. I thought Davis did okay. But I know you can never have too many corners. And then I thought that the quarterback position make the most sense.
I agree.
Andrew said he wanted Winfield so bad too. So, so you was not alone in that department.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think quarterback is probably the best answer.
That's fair. I think we have time for at least a little bit into the second round. So the Jaguars are back on the clock. They got their quarterback in this mock. They got their offensive tackle. I think they addressed secondary. Their secondary was not very good a year ago. When you look at the Jaguars, when they did have success, they had Jalen Ramsey, they had AJ Boye, they had that really lockdown secondary, and I think they're going to look to return to that. And for that reason, I think they take Caleb Farley at 33. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that no matter what you give Jacksonville, it's right. Like you can give Jacksonville a bag of potato chips. It's the right pick. They unloaded that team to high heaven. I can see them going a number of ways. Cornerback. I can see them adding more help on the D line. I can see them adding more help offensively at receiver. And I can see them adding more help at the offensive line. But there is nothing you're going to say, in my opinion, that Jacksonville take that I'm going to be like, oh, no, that don't make sense.
Right. And then I think for the Jets, my thought would be Kwity Paye, because when I watched the Jets, I thought their interior pressure was actually really good. I think Quentin Williams is a severely underrated player. I think he was actually really good for the Jets team, and even their other defensive tackle was producing really solidly. I just don't think they had that edge rusher around. I don't think they had that guy on the edge that could really make the quarterback pay for stepping back and could really take advantage of all that pressure. So for me, especially sitting here, I think Kwity Paye is the pick at 34. Get you a elite potential edge rusher, a guy that can develop, a guy that has all the athletic ability to get around the edge and really capitalize on the really good interior defensive line you built if you're the Jets.
Yeah, I can see the same thing. I think the only other position I would look at right there is probably another weapon for their new toy, Wilson. Yeah. But yeah, defense, you got to start to build a defense up. One Pride 40 says, Luke, they taking Jamie Newman. They won't. They just got done dealing with a Jamie Winston. Jameis Winston. They not finna be they're not going to play around with it. I trust in Bruce Arians. They don't. No, please no. Anything but that. No. Let's see.
Steve O says no way Paye falls to the second round. I don't see what everybody else sees in Kwity Paye.
I don't either.
I see, and I try to put myself in the perspective of I see the potential. I see the numbers of the athletic testing, but at the end of the day, if he didn't produce in college, why would he produce against bigger and better talent? It's kind of my thought.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't see anything that stood out to me.
Atlanta is on the board. they are in an interesting situation yet again. Cornerback, they have AJ Terrell. They have what's the other guy? I feel like they have one other guy that's pretty solid. So I don't know if they go cornerback. Edge rusher, I think it would be interesting. I don't know of any like severe, like really good edge rushers that they have. I know Grady Jarrett's okay. Is he still on the roster? I think he is.
I think Jared is still on the roster. But I think
got cut.
I think that the Falcons, we're talking second round.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to get back to the basics. This is a pick for running back for me.
Running back?
Yeah, because so let's just look at it from this standpoint. All right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The Falcons are a team who are going to make one of two things. One, they're going to ride with Matt Ryan, which I think they are.
I agree.
Or two, they're going to. I think in the first round you had them taking who again?
I had them taking a weapon in Kyle Pitts.
All right. So now you gave them a tight end, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who's the running back?
Todd Gurley, but I don't know if he's back. He was their guy last year, but he might not be on the roster anymore. Mike Davis.
They added Cordell Patterson, and then they got Quandre Olsen. So Gurley is a free agent. Yeah. I see this. And then I really do love Javonte Williams. That dude can play, and I think they look at it and say, "We go running back here." I think they literally tell themselves and talk themselves into going running back here. The only other position I can see them talking themselves into, and that's because it's something that they can definitely add to their team is freaking safety. That's it.
Yeah.
Safety is the only one. Now I know they added Duron Hartman, but that's nothing to write home about.
No, it's not. I laughed at that. I saw that and I was like, good luck.
Right. Yeah. Right. Good for you. But for me, if I'm the Falcons, I'm thinking they're going running back. It just makes the most sense because you can go into it with Mike Davis and Cordell Patterson, but ain't nobody scared of them.
Yeah, I like that pickup. I think that's solid. Mm-hmm.
And so that's the route I would go.
Mm-hmm.
I know some people might say, "Oh, well, what about this?" What about it? They safeties right now. You see, you got. God, they done both their safeties because they used to have both their safeties over in Dallas. So you used to have Kamzi, whatever his name is. And then you used to have the other guy, the hard hitting safety Neal from Florida.
Yeah.
So now you got Duron Hartman and TJ Green. Yeah, I think they go safety.
I agree.
Neal is gone. Neal, both the safeties from the Falcons are the starting safeties for the Cowboys now.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
But I got running back.
I like that. And then I think Miami goes safety here. I think at 36, you look at their safety room. It's Brian Cole. You have Nate Holley, Brandon Jones, Bobby McNeil, and Eric Rowe. You know who any of those people are?
I know two of them. But I still think the Jets do something different here.
The Dolphins, you mean?
I mean the Dolphins. Jesus, I think the Dolphins do something different here. And the only reason I'm thinking you got a head coach who's a defensive-minded head coach. You've already had them take who so far in the first round? I just want to make sure I remember your picks so I'm not doubling down.
I had them take Micah Parsons, and then I had them giving Tua a weapon in the early. So Jalen Waddle and then Micah Parsons.
All right, so they had the linebacker. They got
wide receiver.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest here. I think this is one or two positions. It's either something they can add to the offensive line, but my soul, my spirit, they already got McKinney. They got Jerome Baker.
Mm-hmm.
I think they go safety here.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yep, I think they go safety here
I think that.
because you figure Bobby McCain is okay, but I mean Eric. I just I feel like it's got to be safety. It's got to be
Right.
safety or offensive lineman. It's one of them two.
Yeah, and their cornerbacks are good. Like, I mean, they got they signed Justin Coleman, who I don't think is bad. They have Xavier Howard, and then they have Byron Jones. Like, I don't think that's a bad starting
And
safety.
I like Byron Jones.
Yeah, I do too. So I think safety makes sense. I think they finish off the secondary. And as you said, defensive-minded coach. I think he looks to take the top safety in the class, and I think that's Trayvon Moehrig. I think is arguably the best player. I think he'd fit there really well.
Yeah, I can see a lot of people falling. I know that people don't want to buy into it, but I would if he's there. Yeah, they're taking the safety more.
Yeah, yeah. The Eagles back on the clock. Eagles at 37. They took earlier because I forget these things. They took a wide receiver. They took Devontae Smith. So I think they addressed cornerback. I think their cornerbacks were not very good last year. Even with Darius Slay, they didn't have a great secondary. So in my opinion, I think they take Greg Newsome. But what are you thinking?
Yeah, I was thinking cornerback as well. Just if you're trying to, God, I mean, it's so interesting to see that now Slay is the veteran teaching the young guys. But yeah, I think that makes the most sense to me. Keep working on the defense. You cannot go wrong there. I can even see them possibly going linebacker too, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think that's possible for sure.
So I can see the linebacker pick coming in too, because you can always look at Dick Bolton is still there. Who else? I'm trying to think of. What's the other guy name? Jesus.
Richie
I'm trying to look at where they wouldn't go. They wouldn't go Richie Grant.
No.
Yeah, they wouldn't go Richie Grant. Like I said, is Phillips still on the board for Miami?
No, he was gone a while ago.
Oh, I'm finna say, because I'm like, yo, he
No, I had him going 14 to the Vikings.
Yeah, that's a mistake by them. That dude be hurt. He could play, but he'd be hurt. Yeah. I would go cornerback or linebacker. The more I look at it, the more I think linebacker might be better served, but cornerback is probably not gonna do it, because you figure they linebackers is Alex Singleton, Devin Taylor, Eric Wilson, Sean Bradley, Jannard Avery, TJ Edwards.
Yeah. I don't know. I think they go cornerback here, but I can see linebacker for sure. Cincinnati's on the board. My first thought, since they went offensive weapon, my first thought would be offensive tackle at Alex Leatherwood.
It has to be. Listen, it has to. Listen, they can play this game if they want to, but now they got to pray to God that the tackle they took is going to pan out. And if he don't, you pretty much set them up for failure.
Mm-hmm.
So he better think.
Agree. And like I said, I think they should take an offensive tackle at 5, but from everything that I've been hearing, it sounds like they're almost leaning towards a wide receiver. So it's a risky game, but that's the game it sounds like they're playing.
Well, they like their little Riley Reef. They like their little Jonah Williams, who they just drafted. Billy Price is another one that they just get. I would build my lineup to high heaven for my quarterback. It's no way.
Mm-hmm.
It's no way.
100%.
I'm letting my guy suffer like that, but whatever.
Up to you. Carolina back on the board. They, in the first round, took Rashawn Slater, so they did build up their offensive line to protect Sam Darnold. They have some weapons. They have DJ Moore. They have Robbie Anderson, who's still there. CMC looking to make his return. As I said, they just addressed the offensive line round 1. I'm almost tempted to say an edge rusher, because Brian Burns, I really like him.
But they added Hassan Riddick in the offseason.
Oh, that's true. I forgot about that.
So with Hassan Reddick coming back, you already got Derek Brown, you already got Brian Burns.
That's true. I forgot about him. So then linebacker.
Well, you got to figure they got Shaq Thompson, they got Perry, and then they still got Jeremy Chin.
Isn't Chin a safety though?
You tell me. I'm still trying to figure out what they're going with him.
Kind of a little bit of a both.
He is. He plays a little bit of both.
I see.
I think this going to be a very unpopular pick, but it makes the most sense to me. I think this is another one of those picks that you look up and you see them go, okay, let's add more weapons for the quarterback.
I don't disagree with that necessarily. Like I said, I think they have a lot of weapons, but they did just lose Curtis Samuel, so you could replace Curtis Samuel straight up with Elijah Moore.
Well, you still got DJ Moore, you still have Robbie Anderson,
right?
But I was actually thinking that they would add another running back because Christian McCaffrey will be coming back. But when he went down, that damn offense died with it.
That's true. But what running back are you going to take at 39? Michael Carter?
Let's see.
You have Michael Carter from North Carolina, Kenneth Gainwell from Memphis, Trey Sermon from Ohio State.
Oh, Memphis dude. I didn't even realize he was still available. The Memphis dude is who I would go with.
Kenneth Gainwell?
Yeah.
Really?
Can catch up the backfield, can block, can run. He can do all three phases of the game. I would either go there at the running back position, or I think they would go receiver. I think in terms of the defense, they got enough people because they got PJ Johnson, they got Daquan Jones. These are all people you can move around.
Fair enough.
Bravion, you got Bravion Roy out there already. So to me, unless they just want to say we're going to go big at the linebacker position, I think they look at McCaffrey and say, "Yo, we gotta have
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with you. I don't know if running back is for me. I don't know about running back. I think wide receiver makes sense because you just lost a big play dynamic weapon.
Okay, then go receiver. Like I said, I don't think it's much. I just know that they're going to do some kind of weapon for the quarterback. They want to be able to succeed and put points up.
Right. I think Elijah Moore makes the most sense here. Like I said, you just lost your, smaller, shifty wide receiver in Curtis Samuel. You have your two boundary guys with Moore and with Anderson. I think you straight up just replace him with Elijah Moore, a route runner that creates separation very well, a guy that apparently runs a 4.3 40 as well, just like everybody else. I think they take Elijah Moore. I think they do add a weapon for Sam Darnold, and I think they're really trying to build it up to give him as much potential as possible.
Yep, I can see that. Steve will say you guys are crazy. Only 3 running backs going by the second round. Are you saying you had more than 3 going before the second, didn't you?
No, I had Javonte Williams as my third running back.
No, that sounds about right. I don't think for some reason, man, a lot of people don't value running backs. I'm like,
that's what I was saying. I think they're talented running backs, but I don't think they're going to be valued as highly as maybe they would have been 5-10 years ago.
I still value the hell out of them, but you know what? I'm old school, so what the hell can I say?
Fair enough. Denver sits here.
Now this is a fun one. This is a fun one for 2 reasons. The Broncos reminded people of what you got them going in the first round.
In the first round, I had the Denver Broncos taking a quarterback. I had them going Justin Fields. Ended up falling to 9. I think he is a Denver Broncos kind of a quarterback. Big arm, big guy. I think Justin Fields is a better quarterback than a lot of people, but I had them going quarterback. They offered to trade for Matt Stafford. They offered the 9th overall pick. I don't think they're happy with Drew Lock, so I had them going and addressing the quarterback and getting their future guy in Justin Fields.
And who do we have available at tackle?
Offensive tackle? Mm-hmm. We have Dylan Radness from North Dakota State. We have Liam Eichenberg from Notre Dame, or Jalen Mayfield from Michigan.
It's one of them. It's one of them offensive linemen because I'm not high on Juwan James. I know that I know they love that other dude, the left tackle, Garrett Boyles or whatever his name is. I know that Dalton Reisner is starting to come into his own in a little bit. I think if you got them going quarterback first, they're going to work on building the line. They have the receiving core. That's why they added a guy like Jerry Jeudy last year.
Yeah,
they got
KJ Hamler. Yep.
Yeah, KJ Hamler. They got Cortland Sutton.
Mm-hmm.
Defensively, though, I can see some question marks going there too.
Yeah, no, I can see that, but I think you're right. I think offensive tackle makes the most sense. You go the same route as Jacksonville went. You go the same route as, the New York Jets didn't build an offensive line this year, but they drafted an elite left tackle last year. I think you stick with that. I think you go offensive tackle here. Likely not getting an elite guy, but I think Dylan Radness is going to start on that line. I think Dylan Radness is a solid guy. I wouldn't say a top tier, but I think he's okay. And I do think he would start there. So I like that pick, offensive tackle.
Yeah, I think if you take the quarterback, you got to protect the quarterback. You have to.
No, I agree. And now the Lions are back on the board. The Lions are back. They ended up taking Penny Sewell in the first round. Big time offensive tackle, completing the O-line. Wide receiver is always an option here.
Okay, this just my bias coming out. I'm not touching the receiver in the second round. I'm sitting up here and I'm looking at people like Richie Grant still be sitting there. I'm looking at Andre Cisco, who probably is going to fall to the third or fourth because of his injury. I'm honestly thinking linebacker or safety for the Lions at this point.
Yeah, I like that. Defense definitely needs some work. Linebacker, you have Baron Browning, you have Jabril Cox. I don't love Baron Browning. I see the potential, but I don't see the production. Jabril Cox,
I like him.
I like his potential, but like I said, I just didn't see the most production out of him, which was a little question. Jabril Cox had a lot of production. I like him as a linebacker, but he has some question marks. And then, like you said, safety, Richie Grant, I think, is really good. Javon Holland, I think, is really good. So I think either one of them would be a great pick for the Lions, especially with their super, super shallow room of safeties. Their safety room of one, you should say, with Tracy Walker and Blank. So I think Richie Grant makes sense. I think Richie Grant, a guy that can move, a guy that can, get to the ball, good fluidity, good speed, good athlete, got a lot of interceptions, forced a lot of turnovers, not afraid to tackle. I like him. I like Richie Grant at 41.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, like I said, that now gives us a safety room that we can live with, because you got to think whoever plays safety for us got to be able to play strong in the box and free safety. So Richie Grant, I think, can do both. And so, I would go in that route.
I agree. I agree. And then New York is on the board. They took they took Jeremiah. They took a linebacker.
Okay.
They beefed up that defense. I know, like I said, I don't love Daniel Jones, but you're not going to replace him here. Running back, Saquon's returning.
Yep.
But other than that, you don't really have a whole lot behind Saquon. So
this one has kind of been another one of those ones that I look at, and I think that they too look at offensive line. I think it's either offensive line. We can't say receiver because they pretty much did everything at the receiver position. Tight end is questionable, but I don't think they go too crazy there. Defensively, they can use a little bit more help, but I'm like, if you can help your quarterback out, please do so. And so I just think that they understand that people are still going to fall. They have opportunity to add more talent. And I think they go offensive line and help they quarterback out. So
I think they're looking at this as a make or break kind of a season for Daniel Jones. And if that's the case, you give him a top offensive tackle prospect. You give him a guy that is going to protect him early. But even if Daniel Jones doesn't work out, you have Liam Eichenberg, my top tackle remaining, a guy that's going to be there for a while for you. A guy that's can.
I think Liam is going to be a guard.
Do you?
I think he's going to be a guard. So
Wow.
they need a guard anywhere it go, but I think he's going to end up being a guard.
Gotcha. San Francisco, I believe this is their first pick, actually. No, it's not. They picked number 3. They picked Mac Jones. I lied. So they're on the board. They have their offensive tackles.
Mm-hmm.
They have a decent line. They have some okay running backs. And even, I mean, you don't need a great running back, but Kyle Shanahan's system is really good, ideal for running backs. They have Debo and they have Brandon Ayuk at wide receivers.
Mm-hmm.
George Kittle at tight end, so I don't see an offensive pick. Then on the defense, you have Nick Bosa, who's coming back healthy. You have, I think, D Ford is still on the roster, isn't he? He should be coming back healthy if he doesn't get cut.
Yep, he's still on the roster.
They have some defensive tackles still, I believe. I couldn't tell you who they are.
I think they got like Jovan Kinlaw.
Javon Kinlaw, that's who it is. Yep.
And I think I saw somewhere that they picked up Maurice Hurst.
Mm-hmm.
DJ Jones. So I still think it's a defensive pick.
Yeah,
I think that we're talking cornerback.
I agree with that for sure.
You know, with Sherman gone, I think they go cornerback.
I agree.
And save face. I know they still got Jason Verrett who's still there. But I still think they can add more. Yeah, I think cornerback has to be the move in my opinion.
What cornerback are you thinking? Because honestly, I haven't seen a lot of Kelvin Joseph. I'm not a huge fan of Eric Stokes. I love Asante Samuel Jr.
That would be my pick. That would be my pick. Scrappy. Yeah, he's aggressive. He's scrappy. Joseph, I've watched Joseph film. I ain't knocking Joseph at all. But I'm biased. I'm telling y'all the truth. I'm biased. I like Asante Samuel Jr. I like how he's aggressive.
I do too. So then Dallas is back on the clock. I think they could go Levi Onwuzurike. I did actually know that name. I just stumbled.
Who do you have them with the first pick? If you remember,
Patrick Surtain.
Yeah, they're gonna stick with the defensive side of the ball 100%.
I agree 100%.
It's linebacker all day. It's like, listen, you got Jalen Smith, who they was even considering trading at one point. You got the Wolf Hunter and
Vander Esch.
Yeah, Vander Esch. And so after you get past that, it's like, okay, they got D lineman help already.
Yeah.
Right? And they've already added those 2 safeties. I think Cowboys. Yeah, I think linebackers the move, because if you just go through and you look at this team, they're not adding a running back. They love Ezekiel Elliott. They love Tony Pollard. Yeah. Offensively, he would love it. He would love to get a tight end. You know, that's the only other one I can see is a tight end. But he could probably get that later.
Yeah.
And then you got to just look at the defense as it stands now. Right. Once you go Jalen Smith, Vander Esch, who's the other linebacker?
Couldn't tell you. Don't know. I agree with you. I think that's a fair pick. I think Baron Browning is going to be the guy then at that point. We talked earlier. You weren't here, but we talked about Jerry Jones loving the splash moves, loving the guys that make the big splashy plays. And although Baron Browning wasn't consistent, to me, I think he definitely fits that description. Definitely.
I think if you're looking at what they're doing, okay, and you asking yourself about who their head coach is, I think Brownie wouldn't be the pick.
No? Who's your pick?
Nope.
Then?
It would be inside linebacker Bolton. And the only reason I say that is because you want to be able to kick. You want to be able to kick Vander Esch out of the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And if you leave him in the middle and you say, okay, well, I'm going to leave him in the middle, I could get production, but I think they want to kick him outside and put a legitimate interior linebacker there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't disagree. Jacksonville is back on the clock. They got defensive tackle here. They have some good edge rushers, but I don't think they have a defensive tackle that's super noteworthy on the roster. My other pick right now would be Wyatt Davis, the guard out of Ohio State. I think he's pretty decent. Obviously, as I mentioned, the offensive line wasn't great. They addressed it once. They could, I think, address it again at 45. Or, you have two really good edge rushers. You have, obviously Josh Allen, who's really good, and then Clevon Chason last year, first-round pick. I think the Jaguars could look to get some interior defensive pressure with Levi Onwuzurike, but that's just my thought process. What are you thinking?
All right, so with Jacksonville already getting the quarterback of the future, they got their receiving core done. Mm-hmm. The tight end room is questionable.
Yeah, that I will give you.
Very questionable. Okay.
Fun one, huh?
I'm thinking that if I am sitting up there and I'm thinking about Urban Meyer's tendencies at certain points, I think he's going to go with whoever's the most athletic player available at this point. I think Greg Rousseau, whatever his damn name is.
That would fit Gregory Rousseau's description.
I think that would be his next choice. And the reason I say that is because you already got Josh Allen for the outside, right?
Yeah.
You got Chase Allen playing the other one. You got Tevin Bryant, obviously. You still got Miles Jack. But with Greg Rousseau and Josh Allen, I think he can see the ideas of getting pressure on people with that. Mm-hmm. And I think he would toss caution to the wind versus saying that, hey, let me get something that I need. I think he's going to take the guy that gets you the best chance to get into the quarterback. Yeah, now,
I don't disagree.
Steve-O says Rousseau isn't a good athlete. I
disagree, but
I think he had athletic ability, but I'm anal about certain skill sets. I don't care how fast you are, how strong you are. Mm-hmm. What are you doing that technique-wise that stands out to me? If I'm not seeing the pass rush moves, if I'm not seeing those, then that's another story. Right. But I'm not gonna kill him. And I think he is still raw. But I feel like
he didn't play defensive end until college.
Right.
I don't believe. So I mean, it makes sense that he would be a raw player because he hasn't been at that position for a long time. But
like I said,
I do. I'm following you. I like that.
I think because Chesson. I mean, he was cool, but he's not gonna be able to get to you, off the edge like that. You can kick Chesson inside with Miles Jack,
right,
and create something different. I think he would go with the athlete at that point.
I agree. And then the Patriots are on the board. I think they address wide receiver. They don't have a great wide receiver core. The Keel area is not great. They have they just picked up two guys. It was Kendrick Bourne, I believe, and then Nelson Aguilar, who not my favorite prospects. I think they address wide receiver, and to me, the best wide receiver on the board is Rondale Moore.
I think they could go receiver, but I don't know if they would go more. And I'm gonna tell you why. When you go through and you look, you write about N'Keal Harry. I don't know what the hell happened with that. Let's get that out the way first. What the hell happened with N'Keal Harry? But this is why I think they will not go the Rondale Moore. Mm-hmm. Their best receiver left, which was Julian Edelman.
Yeah, he retired.
Who can play the hell out of the slot? Who's their slot guy?
I would guess maybe Kendrick Bourne.
See, and that's why I think they go with the Western Michigan guy at this point.
Dwayne
because if you're talking about a guy who can get open with speed and he can do it from the slot position, that makes the most sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Because at this point, now you already got N'Keal Harry, who you still trying to figure out what's going on with him. You brought in Nelson Aguilar.
Catch the ball.
Right. And so you still have a host of receivers there. I just think that if you're going to give them something to work with underneath,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the Western Michigan receiver.
I like that. I like it. I like that pick.
Plus, he gives you a kick returner because
Yeah.
right now, if you look at they kick and if you look at their kick and punt returner, right now it's like gunner, and it's like I can get much more out of a player. So I
Right.
think that would be the route they would go in. They've
Yeah.
already sold to the devil in free agency for defense. I think they add a inside slot receiver.
Yeah. And then Looney Tunes says Elijah Moore can play the slot. He's already gone. But I don't disagree with you at all. Elijah Moore's a good wide receiver as well. LA's back on the board. The Chargers are back at 47. I had them addressing O-line, I believe, in the first round. I believe I had them taking Christian Darrisaw, offensive tackle from Virginia Tech. I almost think they double up on offensive line. They go all in on the offense, and they almost get Wyatt Davis just to really solidify that one side.
I can see that.
Protect your quarterback, your offensive rookie of the year, give him time. That makes sense to me. But
I can see that. You won't get no argument out of me on that. It's funny because a lot of these teams sold their souls to free agency, and it's like it's going to come back in the end to bite them.
Mm-hmm.
So, I can see that. I could very much see that being a possibility.
All right, I think that's the pick then. The Raiders, they're back on the clock.
They took who in the first?
They took Elijah Vera Tucker, an offensive guard.
Okay.
Mostly because they traded away 4 of their starting 5 offensive linemen. So I had them going guard. I had them going offensive lineman. In my opinion, he was the best O-lineman available. So I had them upgrading and replacing a part of their O-line in the first. And then
for this, if you talk about a second round pick and things that they can possibly do, this has to be 100% linebacker.
Yeah.
They got Corey Littleton. They got Nick. I don't know how to pronounce his damn name. Yeah. They got Jonathan Abram.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? How confident do I feel that they like Jeff Heath at safety?
Jeff Heath?
Yeah.
I honestly, I couldn't tell you. I don't love Jeff Heath. I think he's okay.
It's either a safety or linebacker.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think I don't know how you feel about Baron Browning to the Raiders, but that's a potential option.
I think now this right here, I know y'all gonna say I sound crazy, but this is John Gruden. I think he goes. I think he goes Dylan Moss.
Dylan Moses.
I mean, yeah, I think he goes with him. Even though he had the injuries and stuff like that, I think he looks at him and say, "Here's a guy I can rush off the edge. Here's a guy I can put it inside."
I actually don't dislike that.
I think Brownie is dope. Like, don't get me wrong, he's dope. But I feel like John Gruden always picks these players that he just wants a certain athlete to do certain things.
Right.
And I think he'll look at Dylan and be like, "Yeah, let me see what that's like."
That's a very John Gruden pick. I think that's good. I like that pick. Oh, I picked the wrong guy. Oh no, I didn't. I got it. Okay. I thought I clicked the wrong linebacker. Arizona's back on the board. I don't know. I think they could address the defense again. I had them going with a cornerback in the first round. Their offense to me is pretty solid. I mean, Kyler Murray, I like. Chase Edmonds and not Kenyon Drake. Kenyon Drake's gone, but I think Chase Edmonds okay. Obviously DeAndre Hopkins is great. AJ Green, I think is okay. I think he'll be a decent wide receiver. On the defense, they have Isaiah Simmons. They now in this mock draft have their potential cornerback one. They have Byron Murphy. Cardell Jones, I believe, is returning next year as an edge rusher. So I don't know where to go with this pick. I think offensive line is possible.
Offensive line is definitely on the board, but I think if you're looking at this from the standpoint that they do probably more rotating than I would personally like, who's the best available D tackle?
That would be Levi Onwuzurike.
And that's who I think they would go with.
Okay, that was my thought. That was my first thought. Was him
because you figure they already got Watts. He ain't playing D tackle. Zach Allen ain't playing D tackle. Right. And then I think the only D tackle they got is Rashard Lawrence, who is cool, but I think they would add more in that department. Even with the linebacker position, like you said, they got Chandler Jones, they got Isaiah Simmons, they got Devin Kennard, Jordan Hicks, Reggie Walker. They got people that you can put there. This another one of them teams that they sold to the free agency. I wouldn't have did it, but hey,
I wouldn't have. And then Miami's on the board. I think they could address offensive line here. Quinn Mertz, the D3 center, I like him a lot. And I know that he was playing D3 prospects, but at the Senior Bowl, he looked really good versus like legit, like D1, like big school kind of guys. So I like him in the center of the Miami line.
So you have the Dolphins taking the center?
I mean, that was kind of my first look to protect Tua was offensive line. And then when looking at offensive line, I first looked at Mertz.
Well, they got Michael Dieter. How you pronounce this dude's name? Dieter?
I don't know. No idea.
The Wisconsin guy, Michael Dieter, something like that. Dieter, they got him.
Do they?
And I know, and they took him. They took him in the third round last year. I think the guy that's the odd guy out is probably Eric Flowers.
Yeah.
Is the offensive tackle from South Dakota still there?
From South Dakota?
Rudez.
Radness from North Dakota? Yeah, he's gone. He's gone.
Yeah, I'm thinking if they're in the second round with this extra pick, again, we can't trade, so this is the worst case scenario possible. Right. But if they're in the second round with this pick, and I'm looking at them, two things come to mind: receiver or offensive line. Now you got them taking. You had them in the first round taking, I believe, a receiver.
Waddle. Yeah.
And then so you got Waddles. So that's Waddles, Devontae Parker, Will Fuller. Yeah, I think it's offensive line.
Yeah.
I think it's offensive line 100%. Because everything else is there. We've addressed a lot of the other positions.
Right. So I think Jalen Mayfield would be the pick then. Which is good for them. Washington is on the board. Again, not a team that I think has a lot of things to work on. Like, I know they were just a wild card team, but I mean, they had inconsistency at quarterback all year. They had a first-time head coach. They had a lot of young players. Like, I thought they did really well a season ago. Their defensive line is very good. Linebacker is a position they could look to address. Safety is a position they could look to address. Offensive line, I think, is another one. So they have a couple of needs, but I almost think safety is the move here just because their defensive line played so well, but I don't think their secondary was able to capitalize last year.
Well, I don't know. Safety kind of scares me because I know Troy Aikman is a guy that's out there, somebody who I think the Lions should talk to them about to see if they can add to their roster. But I know they like Troy Aikman a lot. And then you got Landon Collins, obviously. Carmen Curl is another one. So safety could be a possibility. But if I'm just looking at this from a standpoint of Ron Rivera, I think he goes linebacker.
Yeah.
I think he goes linebacker because at this point,
disagree. I mean, like I said, I think linebacker was another part where it's like the defensive line made plays, but the linebackers just couldn't capitalize. So
yeah, I think if I'm Ron Rivera and I'm looking at the schools he has drafted most of his linebackers out of in different conferences, I think he would go with Chaz out of North Carolina.
Chaz Surratt, I like that.
It gives him more options.
Yeah,
with the speed, and so I can see that being the case.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that. I like that pick. Chicago's on the board. I think we give him a punter just to be funny.
Just to be funny. Can I hear you go, Bears?
Existence. Have him take the kicker.
Listen, if you want to, I'm just gonna have fun laugh at that because to me, the Bears is one of them teams where, man, this team need prayer. It is. They need prayer because they have certain key components,
right?
But
would quarterback be that outlandish though in the second round for the Bears?
I don't think it would, but the question is who is still left at the quarterback position? I don't like none of them.
Kyle, I'm not a big fan.
I don't like none of them. So
I feel like it's a Bears pick though, but I don't know. I know they still have secondary concerns with Kyle Fuller. Fede Melifonwu, I think, is decent. Kelvin Joseph, I think, is okay.
I mean, they had that dude that balled out for them last year, that Johnson dude, and then they added Desmond Trufant.
Yeah, Desmond Trufant doesn't really count.
You don't count that.
I was happy they picked him up. Actually, I don't like Desmond at all. And maybe that's recency bias, but I genuinely the past 2 years, he really hasn't been that good.
I think this is an offensive line or defensive line pick. Them the two I can think of.
D-line in the first round.
Who we took in the first round?
They took Christian Barmore.
Oh, I missed that. Okay. So at this point, so this offensive then they got to keep building up the offensive line.
Yeah. Spencer Brown is there.
You got freaking
Smith from Tennessee. Ben Cleveland.
Spencer Brown will probably be my pick, but you got Andy Dalton, Nick Foles. Yeah, you better make sure you keep them upright.
Yeah, Spencer Brown, I like that pick. I think that's solid. Tennessee's back on the board. I think you see wide receiver here.
Yep.
Diami Brown, I think.
And they need a tight end too.
Yeah, Freiermuth is there.
But I would go with the receiver on this one. I think they load up on a receiver.
Yeah. For me, I feel like Amon-Ra St. Brown would be the best to replace him, or Nico Collins. I feel like would be the best to replace Corey Davis.
I think St. Brown and I think Amir Marset from Iowa are as close as you can get to another AJ Brown.
Yeah. I was thinking Amon-Ra.
Okay. I'm not killing you on that.
Right. I feel like he replaces Corey Davis, and like you said, I think he's as close as you're gonna get to oh my gosh, AJ Brown as you're gonna get. So I think Amon-Ra is the pick here for the Titans. And then the Colts, I think, could also look to go wide receiver. They have Carson Wentz now. They have a good offensive line. They have Jonathan Taylor and Naheem Hines. They have a solid defense. I think they look to add a weapon here.
I can see the weapon. I mean, but they got Michael. Let me see. They got Michael Pitts Jr. Yeah. They got Michael Pittman Jr. They brought T.Y. Hilton back. They added Paris Campbell.
T.Y. didn't do a whole lot. Paris Campbell hasn't done a whole lot through his career.
Wide receiver or tight end?
I think Freiermuth. I almost tempted to go Freiermuth because Carson Wentz used Zach Ertz so much.
I feel like tight end makes the most sense though
I
because
agree.
you figure they got a good 1, 2, 3 punch at the receiver spot. They got good running
Right.
backs.
I
Um,
think they have a great tight end. And like I said, Carson Wentz used Zach Ertz so much in Philadelphia. I think giving him a top tight end target would be smart.
yeah, I do too. I would go with tight end target as well.
All right. Pat Fryermuth, Penn State tight end is the move. Pittsburgh is on the board.
I mean,
Pittsburgh is here.
can Pittsburgh go wrong with anything they do?
I mean, they had been through like 60 times in the playoffs and got blown out. So
True, but we just talk about in terms of how they draft. They
no, I
seem
know.
to just know how to do it,
I know.
and you know, I can see Pittsburgh literally sitting up there saying to themselves, "I need to find my heir and apparent to Ben Roethlisberger, and it's not going to cost me." I think they
Right.
go. I think they go Kellen Mond here.
Yeah, but they do have Dwayne Haskins who they just signed.
Yeah, that's why I think they go Kellen Mond here. like he's there on a try it out basis.
Yeah.
Like think about it. They picked him up and still went back and got Josh Dobbs.
Yeah,
So
that is true.
so it's like if they had so much faith in him, why would they go back and do that? And then
I like that's some solid logic. I can get behind that.
it's a create a battle in for them.
Right. And then Seattle's on the board. I know you're a big Seattle guy.
Yes, sir. For me, Seattle need to take a damn offensive lineman. It's just I'm tired of watching Russell Wilson having to scramble for. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. I keep looking and like every pick, I'm like, this could be where Joseph Asai goes because he's an edge rusher that probably should have gone a lot earlier, but we're just not finding the right spot for him, which is really funny.
And if you look at the Seahawks right now, in the first round, you had Seahawks take what position? If I'm not mistaken, I think you had them take.
They have a first round pick.
Oh no, you know I don't think. No,
they don't have a first round pick.
Did they trade it? Let me think about this. My brain is wrecking me right now.
They might have.
I feel like they was 20 something.
Oh, they traded it for Jamal Agnew or Jamal Adams.
Oh yeah, I forgot we had that dude. Damn, yeah. I mean, not that we had him, but I forgot we traded for him. Yeah, I forgot.
Yeah, they gave up that picks because that was the Jets' second pick. That was their 23rd.
Yeah, they need help at linebacker. But God, man, we got to fix this goddamn offensive line.
Walker Little is the best tackle. Trey Smith is a guard from Tennessee who I think is okay. Ben Cleveland from Georgia is really good. Mertz is still there. Landon Dickerson is there. Josh Myers.
Listen, I don't even care who you put. We need protection up front for the damn quarterback. I don't even care who you take. Just take somebody to help the line.
All right,
we'll get our linebacker next.
We'll take Trey Smith, the guard from Tennessee. I don't know a ton about him, but he's relatively high-ranking offensive lineman, so I can't imagine he'd be too bad. LA's on the board. This is their first pick. They won't have a first-round pick for quite a few years, but they're at 57. I don't know where to go because obviously they just traded for Stafford. They have a couple weapons. They have a good running back. Their offensive line isn't great, but there's not a lot of offensive line talent left. Their defense, Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald, they're obviously great. Who's their other defensive line? Like, who else is there? I know Brocker's just left because he's in Detroit.
Now you got me thinking.
They had a guy from Jacksonville, Dante Fowler, but he went to Atlanta. I think this could be Jason Osai. I think they could look to add an edge rusher on the defensive line, get a defensive lineman to replace Brockers, a guy that can get you pressure, a guy that's super athletic.
I can see that. I mean, but they still have Leonard Floyd.
Oh, I forgot about Leonard, but he's older though, isn't he?
He is, but yeah, I can see them. So I can see them doing three things here.
Mm-hmm.
I can see them doing D tackle.
Mm-hmm.
I can see them doing another weapon. Like, who's at the receiver spot?
Let's see. Rondale Moore, I know is for fact. Dion
See, at that point, I think they would just add another weapon for the quarterback, because you figure you got Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp who gonna play in the slot. You got Deshaun Jackson at your deep threat, and at this point, you're just asking for another receiver,
right?
And then on at the tight end, you got Higbee, and so it's either that or D tackle. Because once you go down, you look at the D tackle, you got Sebastian Joseph Day.
Right.
You got Ashawn Robertson, but I mean it's Ashawn Robinson.
Right. Like, I don't dislike wide receiver. But I think they have a couple of shiftier guys. Like you said, Deshaun Jackson's your deep threat. I almost like Nico Collins here as your big body, almost Kenny Galladay-esque player for Matt Stafford.
No.
You like him?
No. Nico Collins is not
have anybody like that.
They don't listen. It don't even matter. They never have. It's not. This is not one of them times to start reaching. Nico Collins would be a hard reach because Nico Collins is not going to have a huge impact for you. He's not like this guy who's constantly burning people down the field, getting open. That's not Nico Collins. If Rondale Moore is there, Rondale Moore is a better route runner. You want guys who can get open so the quarterback can hit open targets. They're not gonna do what the Lions did. The Lions is the only team who get big receivers and just say, throw the ball down the field deep. Big arm quarterback, big receivers. Down the field deep. There we go. That put bust in the seat. They're not doing that there.
So you think Rondale Moore's the move?
It's either Rondale Moore or offensive lineman.
Yeah, there's no offensive lineman really, so we'll go Rondale. Kansas City's on the board. I mean, they have addressed their offensive line quite a bit. They have their tackle. They have Kyle Long just came back. They got what's his name from New England, who everybody wanted. Joe Tooney is in Kansas City. So I don't think line is the biggest concern for them.
Well, I think this is defense. I think this is defense because you got to look at it. That defense was not living up to the bill in the Super Bowl, and they're trying to right the wrongs from that Super Bowl. You got secondary help already. You got safeties with Matthews and Thornhill. Mm-hmm. You got your cornerback. You can take another cornerback probably. Right. But I think they go linebacker, and I think this is where you see Jabril Cox come off the board.
Okay, I like that. That makes sense. The Browns are back on the board. The Browns are at 59. They're like, to me, the Browns are a very complete football team.
Yep.
They have a really good offensive line. They have two really good running backs. They have, Jarvis Landry, who's decent. They have, in this draft, I believe they had Rashad Bateman, who's decent. Defensively, they have a really stacked defensive line. They have a decent secondary. Like, there's not a lot of room. The Browns, there's not a whole lot of holes they have to fill.
They could use another linebacker.
Yeah, they could. So,
and they could use another D tackle.
Yeah. So the D tackles, I like Davion Nixon. I think he's a really good player out of Iowa.
Then make him the pick because they need another. Once you go through, if you look at their D tackles, they got Malik Jackson, Andrew Billings, Sheldon Day, and Jordan Elliott, and they just dumped Richardson because he wasn't living up. He wasn't living up to the bill. So I can see them going linebacker or D line here.
I like that, and then I think Davion Nixon, is a sleeper as well. I think he's really underrated out of Iowa. So I like that pick for Cleveland. The Saints are back on the board. Safety, I feel like, has to be the pick. Backer first.
Let's see.
Javon Holland is still here. Jamar Johnson is here. Hassam Nasir.
I'm sorry to laugh. Steve-O says, Lucas in love with these linebackers. I'm literally looking at their teams and thinking about their rosters. And all I'm pointing out is this. They've already made investments in the secondary. You added a Greedy Williams. You got a Troy Hill. You got a Denzel Ward. You turned around and you added other people into the mix in terms of that. The safety, the whole safety spot is locked up. John Johnson, Rodney Harrison, Grant Dale Pitt. But then you want to add a cornerback. But the thing is, I'm just saying, when you look at their linebackers, you're talking about Anthony Walker, Jacob Phillips, and Senor Taka, whatever his name is. The backups behind that: Mac Wilson, Malcolm Smith, and Elijah Lee. Yeah, they need a linebacker help. But it's about keeping the pressure up to free those linebackers up. And so you can do that one or two ways: take the linebacker or take the D tackle.
Yeah. And like you said, they just dropped Sheldon Richardson, so I think that makes sense too.
He said Greedy Williams sucked. When I said it, I got cussed out, so I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm gonna leave it alone. I got cussed out.
I heard that one. So the Saints are here at 60. I know you wanted to take a safety in the first.
Yep.
Is that still the option here?
Yep.
And for me, the best safety left is Javon Holland.
Yep.
Dude is very good at this being a safety.
Although I think the number one safety is going to end up ultimately being Andre Cisco, because that injury could be a gift and a curse. It could be a gift because it's going to probably put him at a better team that's more set up for him to succeed, but it could be a curse if he's going to fall and he got to prove it. I just like the fact that he's a ball hawk. I could be wrong about him, but I love the fact that.
And not that, I think Javon Holland kind of fits that role too. Like, he had 9 interceptions in 2 years. Like, he got his hands on the football a lot. So I think in that same vein, you kind of have a similar player where it's like he just gets a lot of production through the air. Only played 2 seasons for the Ducks and still had 9 interceptions. So I like
just
that.
Food for thought.
Just food for thought. The Bills are back. They went wide receiver round 1. I feel like their defensive line wasn't incredible. I feel like I'm not thinking of anybody on the Bills that was like a really good, like, top tier defensive lineman or like edge rusher.
Right.
So that's almost why I think Joseph Osai from Texas, who should not be on the board still, but that's just that's how your cards fall sometimes. So that was my first thought, is like, I don't think the Bills have like a really good pass rusher. And if you want to beat, the Cleveland Browns, the Kansas City Chiefs, the teams with really good offensive lines, you're going to need a top tier pass rusher.
Yeah, shout out to my man Jack Frost in the building. He say, Lucas, iconic with the names. I am what I am, and I'm telling the truth about it. I suck at it. Every time I think I read it the way it should be, it's pronounced something different, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm over it. At this pick, we're sitting up here. Bills are sitting in a position to do a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Bills at this point basically say, let's add up on the defense some more. I just feel like they're just not going to waver from the defensive side of the ball at this point. And at this point, if I'm looking at the roster in terms of the roster now for players, I'm probably on the fence to say this, but I'm thinking that the Bills can probably go in the way of edge rusher.
Yeah,
because
that's what I was thinking.
they can always add on to that, and it keeps the pressure going. I wish there's a way that the Lions can talk to the Bills for Harrison Phillips. like I want Harrison Phillips bad because I know like Andrew really loved Ed Oliver, but it's just not. I just let me have Harrison Phillips.
Right. Green Bay is back on the board. I think wide receiver always seems to be a need for them.
Didn't they take Darius earlier?
The first round they took the center Creed Humphrey.
So they took Creed Humphrey in the first round.
Yeah, and then this is their
Okay.
second pick.
Yeah, then it has to be receiver at this point.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
If you went offensive line the first,
I thought
they liked the center they had. That I thought that whatever his name, I can't think of his damn name. I know they had a center that I remember hearing them like a lot, but
the guy that they played last year left. They're all pro center. Left.
Oh, he left. Oh,
yeah, he signed with the Chargers. So that's why I had them replacing him in the first.
Well, receiver it is then.
Yeah, and I like Diami Brown from North Carolina. Very just all around solid wide receiver. Kansas City back on the clock. Interesting one.
All right, so Kansas City has completely blew up their offensive line.
Oh yeah, yes they have.
They have completely blew that up, and they have completely said, "Yep, we're not going to do this." I'm looking at Kansas City, and let's see, you got Dorian O'Daniel, Anthony Hitchens, Willie Gay, and then you got
linebacker.
Yeah, I'm looking at that, but I'm also looking at Mecole Hardman, Marcus Robinson, Tyreek Hill, Clyde Edwards. The whole line has been destroyed and decimated.
I think you could potentially see Walker Little take over that other offensive tackle spot.
I'm thinking cornerback.
Corner. You have Ifedi Melifonwu. I don't know how you feel about him. Yeah,
his brother let me down. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, that is true. You have Kelvin Joseph.
It's got to be a corner. I don't care who it is, but it's got to be a corner. Because the more I look at the cornerback situation, the more I feel like, okay, you got the safety help, but the cornerback situation needs a little prayer. Linebackers always is going to be a spot for people who don't have it, but they rotate any damn way, so it don't matter.
Right. All right. I think Kelvin Joseph is the pick here.
All right.
And then at 64, I think this is where we're going to cut it off because we're about to hit 2.5 hours. So first 2 rounds of a mock draft for the Lions, or for everybody. Luke, your team, your Super Bowl champions are back on the board.
Yeah, them damn Bucks.
Damn Bucks.
Yeah, them Bucks, man. Listen, I honestly looked at the Buccaneers, and like I said, most of their team is done. We've already added the quarterback with David Mills.
Yeah.
We've turned around and they've added a number of pieces in the offseason and bringing back majority of their people.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just gonna go out on a limb on this one because I think this is something that we need. This is another one of those times where we're going to add a cornerback. This right here is a cornerback spot. Could be another safety spot as well. So I'm going to I think Javon Hollins is still there, ain't he?
Javon Holland went. No, he went to the
Damn
Saints.
it. So who we got at the safety spot?
We got the Florida State guy, whose name I'm not going to butcher for the next time.
You talking about
the Cyril Dean.
Oh, no. Who else?
Jamar Johnson. He's a guy that I really like. Safety out of Indiana. You have Talanoa Hufanga, safety from USC.
I feel like he's going to kill himself hitting somebody.
Ardarius Washington, safety from TCU. Andre
Honestly,
Cisco.
just because they can, and it don't make a difference because they can. You could just take whoever you want at the highest rated freaking safety because they can. Their team
Right.
is ready to roll.
Right. I think Jamar Johnson fits them, honestly.
That's fine. You take whoever you want. I just
So,
think that looking at this team, rotating people in, it is what it
right.
is.
Yeah. So I think that's where we're gonna cut it off. We're going for 2.5 hours. This was super fun.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
I hope to do this again next year. I was planning on getting more members here, but I got super busy and lost track of time, and then it was Sunday. So I wanted to do some more. I had an idea to do like a whole round table with like 6 or 7 people. So hopefully we could do that maybe next time. But I had fun. I'm super grateful that Luke came on today. Super happy that he was able to join us today. Again, the draft is in a couple of days. I will be there. I will be updating you on everything that I see. You taking some live videos. You may even see me on TV once or twice. So that should be fun. But yeah, I think that's all we got for today, guys. Thank y'all for showing up for the mock draft. And Luke, you
Yes,
can
sir.
away and send us out.
As always, sir. Appreciate you having me come on a little bit late arrival, but you was out there killing it. I was enjoying the show. I was like, I'm just gonna enjoy this. This is interesting. It got me to thinking. But y'all know me. I like to end every show on a positive note. And today's positive quote comes from the internet because I don't know who said this, but I thought it sounded really good. Do not understand things that do not need to be understood. Let me say it again. Do not understand things that do not need to be understood. We wasted too many life minutes trying to understand the impossibles. Some things just are. Like, for example, why are there certain animals who can swim deep upon depths of the ocean, but yet still need air to breathe? These are just stupid things to worry about. When I think of this quote, the first thing that jumped out to me was about my purpose and my reason for being here. And the answer is simply, as always, is I don't need to understand what my purpose or my reason is more so than go into it. Sometimes you just have to be like Nike and do it. Don't waste too much time trying to figure out what you need to do or why it is that you need to do it. It just needs to get done. And if not you, then who? That is the only question you need to ask yourself. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, please make sure that you hit that like button on my man's video, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell, because without that bell, you don't know when he's going to drop a video. And I promise you, it's probably going to be 2 of them a day. It's coming. It's happening. And as always, don't be no chump, please. Please do your research.